Hello there. I've spent the last year hard at work making a series on YouTube of completely historical gameplay and divisions for every country I can find sources for, because I hate myself. This means literally dozens of hours of research per video, trawling through archaic sources, and trying to read whatever this is. So to celebrate one whole year of historical divisions videos, what follows is a massive compendium of all 7 major countries in HOI, each with their own historical divisions and gameplay. I'm still working hard on the minor countries, and I'm also doing the same thing in Black Ice, the hardest mod ever. I've got a massive community multiplayer game planned at 75k subs, so if you'd like to see more historical divisions or just challenges and other torturous things, why not subscribe? Hello there. Did you know that Paradox just added historical presets for tanks and planes in the recent DLC? Massive wereaboos and World War II history nerds alike can now copy the Panzer III perfectly and make historical designs. But are they any good? We're going to test that out right now. I'm going to play a game as Germany and use only the historical tank and plane designs. But to make it a little harder, I'm going to go one step further. I'm going to use historical division designs as well. That's right, I'm going to do actual historical research to find year-appropriate division designs for each year and only use them. Can I still win the war? Will I be able to beat the Soviets? Will I even destroy France? Why not like the video and stick around to find out? And hell, why not subscribe for even more stupid challenges? Right, since it's an historical game, might as well go the historical route and start with Rhineland and do some industry techs. Another thing added in the DLC recently is the MIOs, which influence all the tech you can make. And for tanks in Germany, there's so many different ones. I'm going to make life harder for myself, and I'm only going to pick the ones that actually design the tanks in real life. Like, for example, the Panzer III was made by Daimler-Benz, so I will do that. I'm pretty sure I'm going to need a ton of refineries, so I'm going to go a little bit of Civ greed this game. And I am very concerned that my divisions are going to be super terrible, so I'm just going to need a lot of planes to make up for it. So let's start with some planes early. And since we're talking about planes, let's explore this little bit of weirdness. We're already building the BF-109D, right? This comes with 4 light machine guns. But if you go to the actual presets for the basic small airframe and click the fighter, it has cannons and 2 light machine guns. So they're different. Doesn't really make any sense, but as soon as I have the Air XP, I will change over to this. Like I said, only the historical presets. I'm not going to make every historical preset though, like this Gross tractor. Look at this piece of shit. It's got 3 heavy machine guns, it's got such low reliability, riveted armor. No thank you. Also, I am so concerned about Army XP. I'm going to have to spend some on Keitel really early. I need to be getting a lot of doctrines, because otherwise my divisions are going to be such garbage. Just wait till you see the historical tank division design. It's not good, man. Oh my god, that is way too many plane designers for me to try to make a decision. I don't want to have to pick historical planes based on who researched them. I'm going to have to spend so much time on Wikipedia. I think Paradox did not want me to do this. I am now making the updated U87s, but for some reason the old ones that I was making, they can be converted to either the updated U87s or BF-109s. What? Are we slapping some guns on them and just calling it a day? Right, we're kind of in mid-37 now. I'm going to start transitioning to military factories and doing refineries, because I want to take advantage of the refinery bonus from having Schat before I do Sudetenland. Again, I'm going to need a lot of refineries for rubber. Slightly early Anschluss, but that's okay. And a cool new Danish event, a trade proposal. Oh, okay, I lose consumer goods, but I gain some pretty cool bonuses. That's awesome. And they immediately canceled it after starting it. Okay, cool. Thanks, Denmark. Maybe read for no reason. God damn you, Thorvald Stunding. Well, at least one Scandinavian power likes me. Sweden's given me those resources, which means I can finally start to actually build some tanks with all that tungsten. So apparently, as part of the infantry equipment military industry, the Mauser company, I can choose between semi-auto rifles or bolt-action rifles. Yeah, this is definitely a decision Germany made. We'll go for the historical one. I also need to remember I gotta start building some anti-tank. I wouldn't normally do anti-tank in a single-player game, but historical divisions had a lot of anti-tank pieces, so I need them. And at long last, here it is, the German Infantry Division of 1939. This is as close as I can make it based on all the research I've done so far. It's not a terrible division, though it does have a motorized anti-tank. I don't know why, but it specifies motorized, so okay. It also has an anti-tank support company as well. But hey, it's honestly not a terrible division. There will be some updates later on for this one, but for the most part, the infantry division stays pretty similar. It's the tank divisions that get really weird. Alright, we have the basic medium chassis. This means I get the Panzer III and Panzer IV designs from the focuses with the trade with the Soviets, right? Everyone gets these, but that's not what I said, right? I didn't say I would only use historical tanks. I said I would only use historical presets, and they're different. There's the Panzer III, and it's exactly the same as the Panzer III you get from the Focus, but there's no Panzer IV, so I can only build the Panzer III. It's not a big deal, but like, it's weird. Why is the Panzer IV not here? It was made from basically the same chassis. Also, I can't improve the speed of the Panzer III, so I'm stuck to only 6 kilometers an hour. My encirclements. Whatever, we're doing history. We're gonna puppet Slovakia after Czechoslovakia. And here is the tank. This is the tank division as close as I can get it based on my research. It's kinda weird. 2 tank regiments at a rough ratio of 2-to-1 Panzer IIs to Panzer IIIs and up. Yep. That's a weird one. We got only a little bit of motorized and for some reason some motorized artillery. And because we don't have a ton of doctrines, our org is very low. I am not happy about this tank division. It is not good. I'm getting real scared about our ability to take France with these crappy divisions, so I'm going to start prepping a collab government to make it easier. Well, it's time. Here's what I got ready. I got like 4 armies of infantry and 2 armies of tanks with about 20 total tanks, which is a bit more than they had historically. I also forgot that I needed to do the motorized infantry template as well, which is also kind of weird. It has more motorized anti-tank. Seriously, the Germans just loved anti-tank. And surprisingly, it's going fine. Poland is just collapsing. I think the reason is because I'm accepting the fact that my tank divisions have light tanks in them. And while they don't have a lot of org, I have loads of light tanks because I've been building them the whole time. Normally, I try to really focus on getting as many medium tanks into my tank divisions as possible, but honestly, maybe it's just not necessary. Maybe it's better to work with what you have. A good lesson in life. Yeah, even though these tank divisions are pretty crappy and run out of org very quickly, very few casualties, and Poland's gone. I needn't have worried about being in deficit of infantry equipment though, because now look, I got loads from Poland. I didn't realize that there is actually a Denmark surrenders event now, so I just completely destroy them instantly, which is very nice. Oh, and we also get a really good bonus from owning Denmark, the Butter Front. What the hell, that's great. And a similar thing happens with trying to invade Norway. I do actually get a puppet straight away with the Quisling government. I completely forgot to research Marines. I don't really think there were many German Marines in like the Kriegsmarine or whatever. It was just regular army, so I'm just going to invade normally, and thanks to Quisling, it's very easy to beat them. I can also destroy the Netherlands, but Norway will not capitulate. Like, I've taken all of it with the puppet, but because I don't have Narvik at the very edge of the country, they won't go. Pushing into France now through Belgium, and you know what? Again, it's great. These tanks are just fine. It probably helps that the infantry are quite strong. With the addition of that anti-tank, it does help. But the main thing is that I have a lot of tank divisions. I have like 20, so they can just be in a lot of places at once. Normally, I only have like 6 to 12 medium tank divisions. The collab governments help as well, because there goes France. We own Europe. That was not too bad. I barely lost any equipment at all. Look at that. I've got so much spare. Now I can just really get ready for the Soviets. I'm kind of tempted to see how the preset planes do over England, so let's do a little bit of a Battle of Britain. Why not? And we finally have the improved medium tank chassis. Let's see what Paradox has in store for the presets. I can choose between the Panzer IV and the Panzer IV. What? But the Panzer IV should be with the basic chassis. Shouldn't the improved chassis be like the Panther or something? Well, whatever, it's an upgrade from the crappy Panzer III I have, so let's just do the one that's the main battle tank, because I think there's going to be a lot of Soviet tanks, and let's do it. Let's just mass produce them. There's also the Jagdpanther and Hummel, but hopefully I won't need to make them too much. There is something kind of weird about the tank divisions from 1941 though. They have something called heavy armored artillery, which I've taken to mean SPGs. So I need to make at least some SPGs now, so that they're ready when I make the divisions. And since I really would rather have all of my tank divisions be Panzer IVs, let's use our old Panzer IIIs and make a Grille. Why not? It's crappy and terrible, but hey, it gives me soft attack, and it's what happened in history. Probably. Oh, I think it's time we stop the Battle of Britain. Maybe these planes were not a good idea. Yeah, let's just conserve them and leave Britain alone. We need to prepare for Barbarossa. Oh, also we need to quickly take Yugoslavia as well, but that's fine. I got tanks. It'll be fine. Huge benefit to puppeting Denmark. I can just get free equipment from Denmark that gets added to my stockpile. Thanks a lot, Danes. Holy crap, that's going to be hugely helpful. I also finally researched the better plane chassis, so let's see what the FW190 is. That is not bad. Cannons, machine guns, and it's got drop tanks for better range. That's going to be really helpful pushing into the Soviet Union. Let's just only build these. Plus the new U-87, the Cannon Volgel, does actually have a cannon on it. Cool, let's go. I'm just going to absolutely grind out Panzer IVs and planes and also mechs because there is going to be some mechs in our future. Let's hope it goes okay. And just in case it doesn't, I'm going to once again get some collabs on the Soviet Union because I'm scared. And I'm scared because I have to do something I really didn't want to have to do. I have to update my tank divisions to 1941. And you know what that means? They have to get smaller. Yes, that's right. Papa Mustache Man made all of his tank divisions much smaller in the lead up to Barbarossa. Yay! A massively reduced tank corps. Again, still loads of light tanks. A little bit of armored motorized infantry, which I've taken to mean mechanized. A little bit more motorized artillery. And, interestingly, some armored heavy artillery, which I've taken to mean SPGs. It isn't the worst tank division ever, and the org is like a little bit better, and will get better as I get more doctrines, but man, this is not what I would pick. At least I can put the most up-to-date light tank in it, which is the Leopard. Based on the presets, this is like a good tank. This is a genuinely solid vehicle. This is going to help my divisions out a lot. Well, I can't put it off any longer. Let's do it. Let's see what happens with our crappy divisions. We do have a lot of planes, though. Okay, it's not going too badly. We're pushing a little bit. Tanks are struggling. Oh, hey, we've made some encirclements, though. Look at this. That's not too bad. They're not very fast, the divisions, but hey, they're not terrible. I don't think I prepared properly, though, because a lot of the divisions have artillery in them. Like, there's a lot of artillery. And I am losing so much. I'm going to be in a deficit very soon. A big part of that is because I'm also pushing with infantry, but I just do not trust the tanks to do everything on their own. I need to do a general push as well. I'm sorry. We are making a lot of encirclements, though. This is good. And there it is. The infantry equipment is just about to run out. I'm not even close to Moscow yet. All right, we're touching on winter, and I do not think I'm going to satisfy Führer directives. I can't take all the cities. This feels too real. This is very historical. I have run out of equipment. I've run out of steam. My boys cannot make it through the winter. We got to reform, and we got to get ready for maybe a spring push. Oh, go on. Let's try one last little push. Maybe we can get to Moscow before winter sets in. Ooh, this is... This is really hard. My divisions have no supply. I am doing my best to upgrade the railways, but ooh, baby. Okay, yeah, I think I have to stop the push. It's November, and this is basically what happened historically. I can see Moscow. The spires of the Kremlin are in the distance, but I can't get there. Let's wait for spring. Oh, damn, they're doing their winter offensive. They're actually pushing me back a bit. Uh-oh, my divisions are not very good holding divisions. Oh, Denmark is saving me. Thank you. Send me guns. Also, I just checked my casualty numbers and they seem to have shot up. It's because the 12 divisions I sent as the Africa Corps are all dead. I got no notifications or warning, but the Italians lost them all. Goodbye, 12 divisions. Yeah, I've got to bite the bullet. I've got to go up in manpower. That's all there is to it. Service by requirement. But it is spring now. I'm going to try and close some weird pockets in the southwest and push into Crimea. However, it is 1942. That means I need to update the tank division. So here it is, the best I can figure, the 1942 Panzer. It has a bit more mechanized infantry. It has, for some reason, a motorized anti-air, which I really don't need because I control the entirety of the airspace over the Soviet Union, but whatever. But more importantly, it has more medium tanks than light tanks, so that's going to make a big difference. Also, hey, heavy tank time. Let's build the Tiger. Look at that. It is good. It's very expensive, but it's a strong vehicle. I think at best, a tank division probably had like a company of Tigers by 1943, so we don't have to worry about that just yet. We've also got a little mini D-Day in the northwest of France, but luckily the AI is not doing super well, so we could just crush them. Also, a little bit early, but I've researched the next medium tank, and here it is, the Panther. This is the next preset, and this is a much better tank. Look at this, sloped armor, interleaving road wheels. It's fast as well. I like this a lot. Let's see if we can get some of these out. I'm still going to keep making Panzer IVs because I really do need to make sure my divisions actually have tanks in them, but hey, a few Panthers will help a lot. Okay, a couple months of that seems to have really helped because look at that. Moscow is ours. Alright, it's now mid-42. We're doing a big general push. I think this is going to go fine. We've got this. It's really just the CAS that's doing all the work, but the tank divisions are also surprisingly good now. Now that we've upped them a little bit more, they're stronger, they have higher hardness. We are actually doing okay. For some reason, Estonia wasn't taken by the Soviets, they just made them a puppet, so I've capitulated them and gained all their guns. That is going to massively fix our problems. Yes, okay. It's 1943. I have been pushing all through the winter, losing about 1 million men, but look at this. We win. It was basically just the CAS obliterating everybody and the tank divisions pushing as hard as they can. I think the early encirclements made a big difference, and making sure we had plenty of planes helped as well. We honestly barely got any Panthers out, which is very historical. Most of our tank armies consist of Leopards and Panzer IVs. We also didn't get any heavy tanks out, there just wasn't the opportunity because thankfully the Soviets did start to collapse. Oh, that was hard. That was really, really hard. I will say, though the presets are not good designs and using historical division designs are also not good, this really felt like an accurate World War II experience. I was genuinely getting stopped at the same places where Germany was stopped in real life. I had similar equipment problems. The only thing I wasn't lacking was oil because I just imported from Romania and built a lot of refineries for planes. Basically, I am better than Mustache Man, so get wrecked, scrub. Thank you very much for watching. Do be sure to leave this video a like and also comment down below what you thought of the video and what you think of my attempts to make my division designs historical. I release new videos every Friday at 5 PM British time, so I hope to see you in the next one. Bye-bye. Hello there. Paradox just added historical presets for tanks and planes, so I recently subjected myself to hours of pain and historical research to test out whether or not the German presets were any good. And they were. But is that true of all the nations in HOI4? Did Paradox do a good job with other countries' presets? What about Germany's fiercest opponent, mustachioed Stalin himself? I'm going to test out all the historical presets for the Soviet Union, see if they hold up to Germany. And not only that, but I'm going to make it harder by only using properly year-appropriate historical designs as well. That's right, it's more endless hours trawling through World War II history nerd websites to find specific divisional organizational structure. Can I hold against Germany? Can big bristly mustache man beat thin mustache man? Why not like the video and stick around to find out? And hell, why not subscribe for even more silly challenges? Right, so here we are. We're going to be going very historical and doing the historical path, which of course means going down the center, which is of course on the left of the focus tree. God damn it, Paradox. And going pretty standard research to begin with. We're going to be doing quite a lot of civ greed until 39, but also a lot of infrastructure in states with resources because we're gonna need them. The first thing we're gonna have to change is our infantry. There isn't a lot of data out there for pre-Barbarossa Soviet army stuff, but I do have something for the 1939 infantry, so this is gonna change. It's gonna be horrible. I'll show you the horror that I have to work to a bit later, but for now, let's just say I need a lot of light tanks. And speaking of, here is the first problem. We already start with a BT-7, and it's fine. It's a light tank. Of all the tanks I've seen, it's one of them. But I didn't say just the historical tanks. I said the presets that Paradox gives us. And for some reason, the preset for the BT-7 is different than the one you start with. It's similar, it's just different. I don't know why, but it is. So we'll change that when we have the Army XP. The same thing exists for the Soviet fighter. The I-16 that you start with is pretty boring and kind of lame, just some machine guns, but the one that comes with a preset is way better. It has a cannon. Why, Paradox? Why is this different? There's also no CAS whatsoever, but we do get a preset one, the LBSH, which weirdly has engines too, but whatever, we'll make it when we can. And as in the Germany video, I'm going to do one more painful step of historical realism and only use the military-industrial organizations that historically made the tanks. This is kind of hard because I'm not really familiar with the Soviet tank designers, but I'm gonna have to learn, which is especially hard because there are so many. And the worst part of playing the Soviet Union, the paranoia system. I hate it so much. We're just gonna beeline down that to get rid of it whenever we can, doing industrial focuses in between. And of course that great trick of leaving the event open when you get the big purges to maximize the amount of paranoia that actually gets removed. We're also going to send some mountaineers to Spain, as well as an attaché, to both get XP but also to get enough war support so that I can go war economy very early. There's one absolutely massive problem with the whole premise of this video, and it's to do with these focuses here, Superior War Machine and Soviet Artillery. You might think these are a bit weird to have in the focus tree, because why do I want to rush down anti-tank ahead of time? But trust me, I'll show you a little bit later, but without them, I literally will not be able to play the game. At the very least, it's time to start the basic medium tank chassis, and I'm going to assign it to the correct designer, which is the fast tank designer I have learned in my research. Because everyone knows you want your medium tanks to go fast. Not be strong, not be powerful, no, fast. Speaking of stupid decisions, we just got the basic heavy tank chassis, which automatically gives us the KV-1. But again, we can't use it. I have to use the presets. So let's click on the heavy tank chassis preset, and what do you know? There is no KV-1. Paradox forgot to put it in. Instead, we have the T-35. And what is the T-35? I have to build the presets, that's the rule, so I'm gonna, and it's also not actually that terrible a tank. It's got way too many turrets, as the T-35 did, but hey, I make do. Basically the same thing happens with the basic medium chassis. As soon as I unlock it, I get the A20 tank template, but I have to use the presets, and there is no A20. Instead, I get the T-32, 2 of them. I've tried researching this tank, and it appears to have been a prototype for the T-34, but whatever, I guess I'll build it. I have to pick one. For some reason, one of them has a cannon and the other one has a close support gun. If I was doing meta, I would do the close support gun because this is single player, but I'm going to use the regular cannon because that seems more historical appropriate. Alright, I finally got rid of the paranoia system. Now I can really focus on getting down my focus tree. And to celebrate, how about we finally make the 1939 Infantry Division template? I did a whole bunch of research for this, and I'm so upset with what I discovered. This is what I start with, and this is what I have to end up with. As you can see, it's a bit weird. It specifies a light tank battalion, and because it has 57 light tanks, that is too much for just light armored reconnaissance support company. So I do actually have to put a light tank battalion in my infantry, making basically just crappy space marines. It also needs to have proper frontline artillery, so this is what we get. It has to have the light tank, the 2 artillery, and the support companies have to have anti-tank armored cars for some reason, and a signal company. It's not actually too bad of a division, but it is horrendously expensive. Look at this, 9,000 light tank deficit. Oh god. And there's the German deck on Poland, nothing to do with me. I'm not a part of this, no siree. I will, however, just take a little nosy into Finland. Oh, yeah, okay, that was very easy. They just put up no resistance whatsoever. Thank you, Finland. I do actually have to take the historical option as well, just the concessions, because I'm doing history. And since we're so locked to history, I think it's time I told you about the really stupid thing that might screw me. I just got the improved medium tank chassis. That means I get the T-34, right? No, you'd be wrong, because for some reason the T-34 preset requires the improved high-velocity cannon as its main ornament, which is unlocked by the 1942 anti-tank tech. That's right, I won't be able to get my T-34 until 1942. However, not entirely true. As I mentioned, these focuses are vital. The first one actually gives you a T-34 template, which I cannot use, but the second one gives me ahead of time penalty reduction modifiers for support artillery. So all I need to do is have had researched the 1940 anti-tank, take this focus, then quickly research the next 2 techs in the anti-tank line, and then finally I will be able to start making the T-34s. So I won't have to wait till 1942, but I will have to wait ages, and I really need to start getting my tanks online. The reason this happens, by the way, is because Paradox has made the T-34 preset the 1943 T-34. I know, wordy, which is the upgrade to the T-34 to help fight German tanks. The actual first T-34 had a pretty crappy gun, but I am bound by my rules. I will wait until I can build the proper T-34 from the presets. Might as well make the proper tank design as well. And this one's painful. This is the starting template that you get for tanks, and this is what it has to look like. Yeah, I know, it's confusing, but based on my research, this is what it translates to. Yep, it's horrible. It's got heavy tanks, loads of medium tanks, and 2 light tanks. Very little motorized infantry, motorized artillery, and anti-air. This division is complete poop. It has no organization. Fun historical note, they actually should not be light tanks, they should be flame tanks. For some reason, the Soviets had a bunch of flame tanks in their tank divisions, but Paradox forgot to put a flame tank preset for the Soviet Union, so I am not allowed to make any flame tanks. So I'm just going to use regular light tanks, which is a problem because I'm already drowning in a light tank deficit for my infantry. At least we can make the Il-2 Cass a surprisingly decent little plane. We can also make the improved fighter, the Lag-3, and it's fine. It's got a really powerful engine for what is basically very little armament, but hey, whatever. But what I really care about is the glorious T-34. It is actually a good tank. Look at it. It's got sloped armor, that very powerful gun, plenty of engines, welded armor. I am just going to put as many factories as possible onto this thing and fill out my tank divisions because I think that's going to be the only way I can win. Because it is 1941, I've got to get ready. And this is how things stand. I am scared. I have 5 full armies on the German border, an elite mountaineer army on the Hungarian, and 2 armies on the Romanian border. My divisions are very under-equipped, they're low in artillery, and they're low in tanks, but we're ready, I guess. My tank divisions are very weak and few in number as well, but we're just going to hold and hope that we can build up. And no, I am not going to abandon all my land and just retreat to the river. I am playing this historically. That means I'm going to lose units. Oh god, I've been so focused on the industry focuses, I haven't started going down the military path. I gotta rush it. Oh god. Oh, here it comes. It's a bit late because it's July, but Africa is also completely lost to the Axis, so all of Italian forces are probably going to come to my border. But why are they not attacking me yet? It's August. Oh god, I don't have any troops in the Norway border. Oh, thank goodness they didn't attack me in time. I'd have just forgotten about that. There it is. Finally, it's September. What the hell, Germany? You kind of missed your opening. It honestly gave me time to get more mill focuses, so thanks, Germany. I have an infantry army on Finland and a few tanks. I'm hoping I can just finish off Finland pretty quickly so I can move everyone down south as a reserve. Alright, the first battles have begun, and it's not looking too bad. Obviously, we are losing quite a lot of the fights, and our planes are getting demolished, but maybe we should just stand them down. We don't have enough. Sadly, only Britain will give me Lend-Lease, and only anti-air, but hey, every little bit helps. Oh, hey, look, maybe our Air Force isn't doing too bad. Oh, God, never mind. Oh, it shifted. Oh, it shifted so fast. Okay, never mind. Stand down, stand down. All right, the first breakthroughs have occurred. We are getting pushed back a little bit. Oh, okay, no, this is actually going pretty badly. Romania is falling, and I think I'm going to lose the entirety of my elite mountaineers. Oh, God. I think it's time to pull back to the rivers. Let's just start the little retreat process. Let's also start some emergency forts behind the river. I think they're necessary. I'm trying to do some tank counterattacks, but they do basically no damage because of their low organization. They just fall apart. Oh, yeah, there it is. The first encirclement. Oh, God. That's it. Fall back. Everyone fall back to the line. Let's make a new one. We're hiding behind the river. Luckily, Finland died pretty easily, so I can at least move the troops that are there down south. They are hitting us really heavily on the river, but we're holding, and we're super close to 1942, which is when we can finally fix our troops. I need to get away from these bad divisions. Okay, the river at Gomel has just been breached, but it doesn't matter, because it's the 1st of January, which means I can change my divisions. Based on research, this is what a 1942 infantry division should look like, and it stays pretty much the same until the end of the war. So I think this is pretty close. Look at that, it's a 9-3. There's also some good evidence that there was a motorized recon. It has anti-tank and anti-air, but other than that, it's a simple division. No tanks drawing fuel, just good soft attack. I like this. We can also fix the tank division. Took me ages to realize that for some reason the USSR actually changed the name of their tank divisions to tank corps, and that really stumped me for a while, because I kept looking up the wrong thing, but this is what the 1942 tank corps roughly look like. The key thing here, I can take off the heavy tanks, which are a huge resource draw. They will get added back on later, but right now I just need them gone, and it'll also improve my organization. I can also get rid of the motorized anti-air, and the only thing I don't have ready right now is I do need some self-propelled artillery, which apparently was a whole regiment's worth, so I'm going to go make that. And it's going to be super easy because we took off light tanks from all of our infantry divisions, meaning I have thousands of BT-7s just sitting in the stockpile, so I'm going to convert them to a light self-propelled gun. Using the same preset gives us this Su-26, which is extremely crappy, but it's going to add lots of soft attack to our divisions, so I don't mind. I'm continuously training divisions as they all start to reconfigure to their new templates, and it also means that I can just pop divisions down anytime a gap appears on the line and just slap them in and fight the Germans. Most interesting thing though is I'm actually starting to win the air war. I don't know what's happening, but my planes are starting to beat them. I've got like 20 factories on fighters, and I think it's because the presets are surprisingly strong with a cannon and loads of thrust over weight, so all my guys just win dogfights. It's going to take years to whittle down the Air Force, of course, but hey, it's a start. Alright, the whole reforming of the army has caused some losses. We've lost a bit in the south, but we held Crimea, which is what matters. I've pulled everyone back to a bit more of a defensive posture with 4 back lines, and honestly, it's just fine. I'm doing a lot of small little targeted attacks with tanks anytime they overextend, but honestly, I cannot do much damage because my tank divisions are still reforming, but also are still really crappy. Oh my god, I'm so stupid. I've been losing battles for ages right now. I just haven't had the right numbers of troops, and too many are stuck in the west. It's because I have both a front line and a fallback line, so the army is split unequally between the two of them. God damn it. We're also almost out of manpower, so I'm going to go up to extensive conscription to try to defeat that problem. We've also got the new heavy tank chassis, so we can now build from presets the KV-1 or the KV-2. We're just going to make the regular heavy tank one because the KV-2 is actually an artillery. And this is very relevant because later on, the 1944 Tank Corps has either a heavy tank battalion or a heavy self-propelled artillery battalion. I'm just going to go the heavy tank for now because I think I like them more armor, so we'll start building them now in advance. I've also made a huge rookie mistake. I've gone to total Moby and I delayed going to extensive conscription, so I am now at 0 manpower. I can fix it by moving down to war economy, but it's going to take me ages to mobilize up. Alright, it's basically the end of summer 42, and we've done it. We've held them. They cannot push more. They're still destroying us in the air war, but I'm building up planes. Don't worry, just wait. Now that we're going into winter, let's do the military reorganization, making us very weak, but fixing our military spirits over time. Please don't attack me during this. Alright, now we can finally go lessons of war. We are actually going to be fixing our military. Get ready, Mustache Man. And with that complete, we can start to do offensive operations, including Operation Bagration. We'll wait a little while for that one, though. I want to wait until we have slightly better tanks. Right, we're starting to massively struggle with our tanks. We do some damage, but they just throw us back because of low org. I think the only way I'm going to win, other than just waiting, is building tons of tank divisions and just having them everywhere. Wow, it's like real history. Also, I finally done positive heroism, so I can have Zhukov as the field marshal. That is going to make a huge difference for my tanks, which I really need because my limited offensives in the summer of 43 completely failed. I think I took like 1 tile. Presets are not super strong, but it's okay. I just got the new medium tank chassis, and this means I can finally upgrade my tank to the T-44. Now, historically, there weren't actually a ton of these in the Soviet forces. There were about 2,000 by the end of the war. But hey, I'm doing the presets. I'm going to start building this tank en masse. It'll cause a temporary shortage of medium tanks, but overall long term, I think will really help. Oh god, it's so expensive in steel. Oh, my resources. Also, I'm so busy microing and focusing on my own line. D-Day's happened. Vichy is being invaded, and France has invaded in the west and the south. This is brilliant. And we're finally unlocking our doctrines, fast offensives, infantry combat with reduction, but more importantly, reduction of supply consumption for everyone. This is going to be the thing that's going to allow me to finally start attacking. Also the fact that we've shot down thousands of enemy planes, giving us a very slight edge in the air war. It's now 1944, so let's move to the proper endgame tank corps. This is what it looks like based on my research, and this is, I think, what I would convert it to. It's finally got rid of all of its light tanks. It has 1 heavy tank battalion. It brings back the anti-air, but it also has light and medium SP artillery. And finally, this is maybe a bit of a stretch, but looking at the amount of equipment inside the division, the corps, there are a variety of half-tracks. Though they do not constitute their own battalion, they are split amongst the whole division. And there are enough of them, I think, to necessitate the addition of a mechanized battalion, which not only improves hardness, actually gives us more organization. Oh, thank you. I also don't actually have a medium SP artillery, but we can start to do that by utilizing our leftover T-34s. So, oh yeah. So we will start making the Su-122 preset. Also, D-Day has expanded, which means that the German Air Force has moved west. We control the skies. It's time. Go, 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 go. Everybody go on the offensive. Everybody attack. Screw your lives. Let's go. And we've got loads of tank divisions. We can't seem to pierce the southern and eastern side, but the northern front has completely collapsed. Obviously, having a massive air force is really helping. Hey look, we even have a mini Corlin pocket. Get wrecked. Also, it's a bit late, but I've just realized I've been struggling with resources all game. I moved to free trade early in the game. I could have changed it any time. Oh god, there we go. All my resource problems are fixed. Okay, my divisions are really strong right now. They're just collapsing the German line. Also, we finally got mechanized wave in the doctrines. Incredibly good. It adds tons of organization to everything in my tanks, so they can finally keep going and attack. I think it's time to use those early operations to give us a little bit of a bonus, but I actually don't think we even need it because Denmark has joined. Oh, baby. Oh my god. Okay, don't at me in the comments, please. But I forgot to assign anyone to my officer corps. I could have had like 15% bonuses to all my infantry and tanks. I just completely forgot. I didn't need it though because I'm in Berlin. Alright, there we go. Yeah, it's just a question of continuing to push down. I'm going to ignore the Yalta Conference, and I'm going to just do my own peace deal. But there it is. I have defeated Germany using only historical division designs and the presets that Paradox gives you. I had a great time, and I hope you did as well. If you have enjoyed the video, do be sure to leave a like and a comment down below, letting me know your thoughts and suggestions for future videos. And if you want to support the channel, you can do so with memberships or by clicking the Patreon link below. I was Aldrahill and I'll continue to be. Thank you so very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Hello there. My recent joy in HOI has been forcing myself to play with only the historical presets and divisional organization for each country. This means no making my own tanks and planes, or designing my own divisions. I have to use actual historical divisions instead. I've so far succeeded as the Germans and the Soviets, and suffered as the Italians. But this time, I want to explore the remaining Axis power, Japan. That's right, the angry emperor-worshipping, Yamamoto-loving island dwellers themselves. Japan's a brilliant country to play in HOI, so long as you don't look at the focus tree. With lots of hard fights, difficult decisions, and intense naval battles. And also questionable historical decisions when it came to divisions. So what do you think? Will I be able to beat China, contend with the US, or even make it into the Dutch East Indies? Why not like the video and subscribe? Because I'm loving doing this little history-focused series, and you can see new episodes on Fridays at 5 PM British time. Right, so here we are with Japan. As you can see, the focus tree is garbage, and basically it's just a straight route if you're going historical with the Purge Dakota faction. And we will of course move towards China pretty quickly, and also prepare for the strike south. That's right, I'm going to repeat the same mistakes Japan did. We will be doing a little bit of a civ build, but moving to mostly mills by 37 to prepare for China. And speaking of, we might as well talk about the starting division templates. Here we have the HOI4, which literally just means infantry division. And weirdly, this is actually quite close to what they were historically. Infantry divisions in Japan before 38 were called square divisions, which means they had 4 slightly smaller infantry regiments rather than the more typical 3. And it's also lacking all of its artillery. But we'll come back a little bit later when we have some XP to actually change this division up and make it super historical. And just you wait until we have to figure out what we do with the Marine division, because that's going to be complicated. We also have to look at our starting planes, and we have so many of them because of all the different carrier types. The fighter we start with, the Kai-10, is pretty crappy, and it's also on the interwar airframe for some reason. But if we move to the actual airframe and build the preset as we are supposed to for the challenge, it's a really good upgrade. 4 guns, engines too, I like it. Same for the CAS. We just need to make sure once we have the Air XP that we are only building the presets for all the different planes, including the carrier types. And weirdly, the carrier types are sometimes better, like the carrier CAS has dive brakes, which the regular CAS doesn't, so I don't know. Progression-wise, we're going to be rushing down the national mobilization law and getting towards total mobilization because I need the extra factories. And I'm also going to be turning down all of the ship types that I'm building to only one because I want to be building only the presets later on. So I'll get rid of all the ones that are currently in my production queue once they're done. Oh god, I also have to really remember to put my garrison boys absolutely everywhere. Japan starts with exactly the right number of divisions necessary to garrison every single one of its ports, and I'm gonna need to be on top of that. I just know I'm gonna forget it. Gonna prioritize steel for guns, move towards mill factories, and let's start preparing. I'm also gonna do something a little cheeky and then prepare a collaboration government on China once I've got all my spy networks set up. This means I'm not going to have to move all the way to Chongqing to be able to capitulate them, but instead, you know, win a bit earlier. Right, I've got a little bit of political power saved up now. I'm curious. Let's try test the Soviets and see what happens. Yeah, border war, border war. Give me that XP. We've just unlocked the new light tank chassis. Let's see what presets we have available. It has the Hago. What? For those who are not aware, the Type 95 Hago was the rather infamous crappy Japanese tankette that they used for way too long. And I'm already building that, but that's with the basic chassis. The preset for the new chassis is the same tank. It's like a little better. It has a better turret and a better engine, I guess, but okay, that's weird. Also, since we're talking about it, I've had a lot of comments telling me that I should just use the historical designs given it through focuses and at game start, rather than just being locked into the presets. Mostly because Paradox sometimes forgets to put the preset into the new chassis if they think you get it from a focus anyway. So I would really love to hear your feedback if you could put that down below in the comments, whether or not I should only use the presets that are given, or if I should be allowed to use the historical ones from focuses in a game start. Please do let me know down below. I'll listen to the majority and just do what they say in future videos. Ah, this is weird. Looking at the border war, I'm very confused. I have no divisions in it. My guys are just sort of sitting there. I don't remember this. Oh, okay. Japanese defeat at Lake Kassen. I guess I lose because my guys just didn't turn up. All right, whatever. It's 1937. Let's move towards Marco Polo Bridge incident, and that means it's time to change up our divisions. I have found remarkably little information about Japanese structure before 1940, but I have found, thanks to a bit in Wikipedia, that infantry divisions were changed to triangular divisions in 1938. But at the very least, I do know that it did have some artillery, so I'm going to put that in there now. And we'll change it up again in 1938. Right, here is the conflict. We've got some forces on the China border. We've got naval landing boys ready. But of course, before we do that, we have to talk about the Riko Sentai, the Marines. The problem here is the way HOI looks at division organization. There was no Marine divisions for Japan. They just didn't have them. They had various ad hoc organizational groups that were called Special Naval Landing Forces, but they were no bigger than a battalion. They were just rifle companies, support anti-tank, and that's about it. But obviously that doesn't really work in Hearts of Iron. You can't just have a battalion-sized unit. So I'm going to have to fudge it a bit and extrapolate from the battalion organization up to the divisional level, which means just basically having 9 Marine battalions with support engineers and anti-tank, weirdly enough, and I also have no anti-tank build, I forgot, so that's going to be fun. Also, I finally have some spare dockyards, so let's see what kind of interesting presets Paradox included for the new ship techs. They are actually pretty good. There's 3 destroyers. One's a bit more anti-sub, one's a bit more escort fleety, and another one's a bit more anti-air. I like this. I think it's just time to start the invasion. I have no idea if the planes in carriers will actually help out with naval evasion support, because they don't seem to be doing anything, but I'm not sure. Let's find out. On that note, it's time to talk about this video's sponsor, me. Or perhaps I should say, you. The feedback from this historical series has been phenomenal, and I really appreciate all the positive comments and likes. If you do want to show support for the channel and can afford it, I have recently enabled channel memberships, and also have a Patreon for those who want to avoid giving money to Papa Google. The rewards at the moment are focused around names on end screens and name lists for in-game divisions and the like, but I'm going to be moving towards multiplayer games for members soon as well. Alright, that's enough. Back to Japan. Oh yeah, look at that Shandong invasion, it's going so well. Yeah, I'm just pouring troops in, trying to rush that river there and cut off the northern forces. I think I put too many troops on the northern border, and I think everyone really just needs to come into here. We have now ground to a halt just outside of Qingdao, very historical, but we can click the Escalate the War in China button and get more bonuses, and that should probably help once I get more troops. Oh, I have not fought in China in absolutely ages. This is really difficult. The supply is not great. I have to manually connect the different hubs, and China's fighting pretty hard. But as I get more of the Escalate War in China bonuses, I'm going to start getting really strong. I think it's time we move forces from the north down to the south as well, because we need them here, and ooh, the Yellow River blown. How could you do this, China, to your own people? You might be wondering, by the way, why I'm using tank divisions according to the little logo. Well, I'm not. The divisions have tanks in them, but they're actually infantry divisions. And that's because Japan didn't raise tank divisions until 1942. This division will be changed in just a little while to make it more historical, and we'll talk more about that a little bit later. But I just wanted to say, no, I'm not cheating in using tank divisions. This is what Japan actually did. Oh god, I forgot about the Panay incident. Oh no. Gonna just do the historical option and beg and plead and say, please, Papa Roosevelt, don't hit me. Oh my god, Manchukuo hasn't been in the fight this whole time. I'm so stupid. This whole China war thing is genuinely very hard. I need to shrink my lines and have reserve troops hold the river. There's just not enough supply, and there's just too many Chinese soldiers on the border. Okay, the whole fight in China has developed necessarily to our advantage, and it is now January 1st, 1938, which means we can finally fix our division templates. This means we can change our current infantry from this to this. That's right, not that different, we've just made them 3 regiments. However, even this isn't properly historical because the listed strength of the infantry division, Type B Standard, is supposed to be 20,000 men, which is absolutely massive. However, I can't actually add the extra infantry battalions necessary because I need to unlock that slot in the doctrines, so for now we're just going to have this. Oh, and also there's definitely a field hospital support company. There's also the issue of the amount of artillery necessary. I found a specific field guide which says exactly how many field pieces there were, and there were 36, which is exactly what's in one artillery battalion in HOI, but there were also something like 30 regimental pieces. So I'm going to say that counts as support artillery. We also have the Strengthened Division Type A, which I'm going to basically say is going to be our tank division for the majority of this game, and that's because alongside being absolutely bloody massive, it has tanks in it. The listed strength was to have 48 mediums and 20 light tanks per division, and I'm going to say that is basically one medium tank battalion, with the addition of light armored recon. That gets me pretty close to the actual listed tank numbers in the division. Also, this division has heavier howitzer, meaning more artillery, so I'm going to give it 1 more artillery battalion. And that is the Strengthened Infantry Division. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the tank division-y guys that I have into these, and these will be our offensive templates. Oh, and also because we can't possibly be making medium tanks yet, because we haven't even researched it yet, this will just be a light tank for now, and it will change to a medium tank just as soon as we have enough. We've once again hit a stalemate, so I'm going to try and naval invade once more from the south, just to try and confuse the China AI and speed this whole thing along. Also, taking a closer look at the focus tree, it's just so garbage. Almost all of the focus tree is just one research boost for like armor or something. It still takes 70 days. This is a huge waste of my time. I'm just going to focus on the conflict in China and keep building up railways anywhere I can. There thankfully are quite a lot of supply hubs further inland, so I'm just going to keep working towards them. Also, I'm going to do a slight cheat here. One of the focuses gives me the Yamamoto super heavy ship design already partly constructed. And although that's not a preset, I'm going to allow it because it is super historical. And come on, it's the Yamamoto. Let me know in the comments if that's disgusting. I don't really feel so bad though, because there are no presets for the 1936 heavy ship hull, so I'm just not allowed to build anymore. Paradox just didn't put any there, so I guess I don't get to build any more heavy ships. At least until 1940 and I get the new designs. Also speaking of, it is 1938 medium tank time. Let's see what we got. The preset is the Chi-Ha tank. That's actually the correct historical medium tank. Oh my god. Here's the alt history divergence. I'm managing to win the Battle of Wuhan. In real life, this is the battle that basically meant that Japan ended in a complete stalemate, because even though they took it, they couldn't do anything else. But I'm gonna succeed. Yeah, for us, that was just all I needed to do. Take Wuhan, and now I'm just snaking to victory points. The China line is collapsing, and there it is. I'm gonna give literally one state to Menguko and completely annex the rest. Other than Guangdong, I've got compliance on all of it, so this is just going to be perfect. Now it's time to start mass producing dockyards and also in the coast of China, so let's grant some draft exemptions and start pivoting towards the Navy. I was honestly really worried about the presets for ships for Japan, but there's so many. The 1936 cruiser hull has a bunch. There's so many different types of light and heavy cruisers. I'm so happy. It's also time to start researching all the 1940 hulls because we're in 1940. This means I can finally get a good up-to-date Navy. Ooh, okay. Unfortunately, the presets are starting to run out. The 1940 heavy ship hull just has one. It's not bad though, it actually does have a lot of anti-air. I just would have liked some choice. And the carrier again has just one, but it's honestly fine. This is good. The big problem though is the destroyer. There are no presets. The button is just... it's just not there. I think Paradox forgot to put them in, so I'm stuck using only 1936 destroyers. This is really sad because the Japanese destroyers were actually some of the most interesting in the war, the Asakushi, and like the experimental Shimakaze. There's a lot of really interesting ships here that I'm just not going to be able to use. One more division type that we need to make is the Mountaineers. There doesn't seem to be any evidence I can find for dedicated mountain divisions. Instead, every division type can either have regular artillery or mountain artillery, so I'm just going to assume that Mountaineers are exactly the same as regular infantry divisions, but just mountain focused. So I'm just going to make the mountain divisions pretty much the same as the strengthened type A divisions. Now it's just time to prep for the big kerfuffle. We've got our Marines, our absolutely chonking Type A strengthened divisions, with as close to the right manpower as I can get, and a new tank with the improved chassis, the Chi Nu. Fun fact, this tank never actually saw combat. It wasn't built until 1943, and any that were built were kept in reserve for the defense of the home islands, which obviously didn't end up being necessary for reasons. Alright, it is late 1941. We've got Tora, meaning we have a deadline to attack. I have invasion forces moving from Siam down into the Dutch East Indies and also the Philippines. I've got fleets spread out in the south, but also towards the east to start invading some of the smaller Pacific islands to kind of island hop towards Hawaii. I'm going to use the coordinated strike feature, which is basically meant to be an approximation of Pearl Harbor, which is supposedly going to allow me to do really powerful port strikes at the exact moment that war gets declared. But I do it and nothing happens. Like, nothing gets hit even though I know the enemy navy is there. And by the way, I don't have the range to be able to actually hit Hawaii, so I couldn't ever have done a historical Pearl Harbor. How? Why? Why does this happen? Regardless, the rest of the invasions are going well. Main fleet is doing naval invasion support. I've got a patrol fleet, and I've also got a convoy escort fleet. It's going fine. And it looks like the island of Borneo is pretty much empty, so I guess I'm just going to sort of swamp across it. I've got a bunch of strengthened Type A divisions ready to move in as well, and I have 2 whole damn armies on the Burma border, 1 regular guys to hold and 1 strengthened to push. My hope is that I can just sort of push straight through into Burma and instantly take it. Alright, island hopping's going really well. I'm catching the US off guard. I've taken like Wake Island and all these little random Pacific places. I'm now going to start trying to move into Hawaii. Also, I've been pushing south through to Malaya. There was very few troops here. My boys are very strong with the addition of the little bit of a tank. I guess they're kind of space marines, which is weird. Frustratingly, I don't get Malaya. It went to Siam, which really annoys me because there's tons of resources and factories there. This is also the point where I realize that I have not actually built a naval bomber. I think I might need to do that. Let's do it, G4M. Alright, remarkably, this is going pretty well. I've taken all of Borneo. I've pretty much got the entirety of the Dutch East Indies. I've got the Siam bit. We're pushing into Burma. And the Hawaii invasion, it's going okay. I did a secondary invasion on one of the other islands. That one worked, but the main one didn't, so they're just sort of trapped there. Okay, it's to do with the order system. I have to, like, move the orders around. There we go. They're actually providing support now, so the Marines can land. Yes, there it is. We have indeed landed in Hawaii. Now I'm going to turn my main fleet, which was previously on naval invasion support, to strike force and see if I can catch the remaining US Navy. Also, I'm already basically done with the focus tree, so I'm just going to move to dockyard output, the recurring focus. There's just nothing to do. I am really stuck in India though. I thought Burma would be a lot faster, but the terrain is just awful. Let's try a sneaky little invasion into Calcutta and see if we can open up a second front. Oh god, the Allies are right by Siam. They just sunk my escort fleet. No. Oh, and they're also invading the Caroline Islands one by one. It's also 1942, which means we can finally make our proper armor divisions. But first I have to make an SPG, so let me just make that now. From the preset, it is the Horo. It's very boring. These are not good presets. Doesn't matter though, it's the Battle of Honolulu, my main fleet versus the US main fleet. We have equal numbers of carriers. Oh, this is good. Yes, we win. Probably from better operational efficiency because the battle was happening by our port, but we sunk so many destroyers. No capital ships, but hey, no more screens for you. And we've also successfully landed and snaked into India, so I'm going to start just funneling troops in there and seeing if we can maybe capitulate them. I have done a collab government to make it a bit easier as well. I think maybe our next path should be to collapse on the Soviets after we destroy India. Like, why not help out Germany, whom are not doing great? Oh, that's weird. We signed a non-aggression pact with the Soviets, but it's gone. They must have deleted it without me realizing? Alright, means I can attack them whenever I want. Oh, Tora is over. That means I have officially been fighting for 6 months. I've invaded India, I've taken all of the Dutch East Indies, I've taken pretty much all of the Pacific Islands, except for this one by Kamchatka. I just forgot about it. But I'm going to celebrate by making the proper armored division. As I mentioned earlier, Japan only ever made 4 tank divisions, and this one, the Japanese 2nd Tank Division, I think was raised the earliest, so I'm basing it off of this, and this is all I've been able to find, just its base components, and I think this is pretty accurate to what it needs to be. I also think this might be a mistake saying that they're armored regiments. I think they're meant to be armored battalions, because the size would have been smaller. I'm going to estimate that it's about 4 motorized infantry. I know this is mechanized, but I haven't built any, so I need to use motorized instead. And finally, a self-propelled gun regiment, as well as some anti-tank companies and other things. This is what it looks like. It's just fine. It's fine. I'm going to make them and try to get a couple out. I'm not going to make too many, though, because again, Japan only ever had 4. I don't think they're going to make a huge difference for us. Also, I still haven't invaded the Philippines. Every single invasion completely failed, so let's just do that now. It looks like the American fleet is trying to come and help, but we caught them at the Battle of Iwo Jima, so we sunk a lot more screens, and finally a few capitals. Oh my god, screw that. The Battle of Malé is way more interesting. This looks like the British main fleet has come over to try to help India. They're done. We just sunk a bunch of capitals and screens for almost no losses. We win the naval war. I think it's time to just focus on demolishing India. If I push really aggressively, they should cap within a couple months. And also, if I take this one port in the east, I can encircle the entirety of the British and Indian army that was sent here to Burma. Okay, I can see why I'm winning the naval war so much. Look how many different ships I'm building. I've just got so many dockyards. Oh, and yes, I've encircled all these guys. There's about 50 or 60 divisions here. This is like 1,000,000 men. But more importantly, we've naval invaded Bombay, and we're just going to push out a bit more, and there it is. India has collapsed. This gives us a lot of guns, which I really need because I am very low on equipment. All that remains now is to garrison the ports, rejoice in our victory, and give my troops a rest while we think about what we're going to do in 1943. Alright, I've decided. I've given my guys about 2 seconds rest. We're going to invade the Soviet Union through Iran. We're going to have an army through the Iranian border. We're going to have an army through like that weird steppe region and also around Manchukuo. And we're going to push and collapse them and see if we can help out the Germans, because they're really struggling. I don't think I have to worry about the Navy, because I just had another Battle of the Malé with the British, and again sank so many ships. Well, everybody hang on, everyone stop what you're doing. The German Protectorate of Denmark wants to buy some old destroyers. Buddy, all of my destroyers are old, okay? I can only build 1936 destroyers. You can have them, though. Well, it's 1943 and I'm impatient, so I'm just gonna go. We're just gonna move our mountain boys into Iran and just see if we can attack everything. I've been building supply networks pretty much everywhere, and it's going fine. We're just spilling across, because the Soviets don't really have a lot of troops on our borders. That'll probably change soon, though. This is really weird, though. I've tried assigning some Marines to invade into Iran, but I didn't realize that the Hormuz Gap is like blocked off to me because the UK owns it. So even though I assign the orders, nothing happens. But now the Marines can't be unassigned. They can't be moved anywhere. They can't be changed. They can't be given any orders. They've just turned off. I guess I'll just delete them. Oh, and there goes the American fleet again in the south. What are you doing here, guys? You should be protecting your shores. Germany is just not doing well at all. They have not pushed as much as I'd like them to. Let's send an attaché and see how they're actually doing. Okay, yeah, they are very thin on the ground. They do not have a lot of boys. Oh, that's not so great. Oh, and I am so annoyed, by the way. There's a ton of resources in India. I thought I was on harsh quotas for those states. I just wasn't. I was on the factory one, and they're not giving me any factories, so I just wasn't getting the resources. I have been starved for steel for ages, but now it's fine. I've honestly just been battle planning and not really paying attention to the pushes because there's so low supply, but this has finally helped the Germans. They are actually winning. They've taken Moscow. Also, Italy's been busy. They have naval invaded and capitulated Ireland. What are you doing, Italy? Help out against the Soviets. This is not the time. Leningrad has also fallen. As well as that, I have taken Iran, and the Soviet Union are so close to capitulating. D-Day has hit in Bordeaux, though, so Germany really needs to pick up the pace. I'm doing the best I can, but it's all mountains and snow in the east, so I really cannot make much progress. Like, look at this. I'm just vaguely pushing in general. I do have my tanks up there as well. They are doing their very best, but it's hard going. Look, I've actually been encircled and cut off. This is really challenging, but I'm just going to try and snipe VPs and see if I can capitulate them. I think I actually need to help out the Germans. I'm going to send my tanks over there and see if we can just push in heavily. Honestly, the AI is just not taking advantage of their gains. They need to just push everything and take the VPs and they'll win. All right, my boys have spilled in, and I'm trying to take some supply hubs. We've taken Gorky, and I got to move towards Kazan. There's just so many tiny VPs. We do also have the advanced medium tank chassis. Let's take a look at what it is. And the preset is the Chi-Ri. This was a prototype tank made in the late war stages, with only one ever actually being built, and it looked crazy ridiculous. Look at this thing. Look at the top of his head, dude. Still, I'll build it for the last little stages of this, because why not? It's fun. I neglected to mention that I invaded Australia just because I wanted the steel and no other reason, and just set some Marines to battle plan, and they've actually managed to take New South Wales. But while I was looking at it, because I also forgot about Australia, my game froze, and you know what that means? It's over. The Soviet Union has capitulated. They had very little equipment. Wow, that's terrible. And after an incredibly grueling peace deal where Germany fought me for basically everything, this is what our borders look like. We got all of Iran and all of Eastern Russia up to the Urals. It's pretty cool. I like the big name. My initial plans were, once I defeated the Soviet Union, to begin invasions into the USA, but my game has started to slow to a crawl, and also I cannot get the range to the USA no matter how hard I try, and I cannot figure out why, so my boys will not invade. I don't understand it. Please let me know in the comments if you know why this has happened. I could, invade the UK and then figure out a way to invade the US and take several hours to do so, but this is a foregone conclusion. Me and Germany will absolutely destroy everybody no matter what we do at this point. So I'm going to say we won. We managed to defeat the Allies, the Comintern, and bloody everybody, using only the presets given to us by Paradox, bit lame though they were, and the proper, real historical divisions that Japan actually used. This was an absolute ton of fun. Please do be sure to leave a like and comment down below a suggestion for another country or any other challenge you think I would enjoy. And of course, subscribe for new videos every Friday at 5 p.m. British time. Thank you so very much for watching, and especially to all those who support me through channel memberships and Patreon. And you can find links below for those who want to join them in supporting me be a giant history nerd. Bye-bye. Hello there. What if you were forced to recreate history? And what if you had to make the same dumb decisions, equipment designs, and even recreate army organization? Well, that's what I'm going to do today as the UK in Hearts of Iron. I'm going to be forced to help defend France, fight in Africa, and do my best to win the Battle of Britain, all while using Britain's utterly stupid division and equipment designs. I've been really enjoying this historical design series I've been doing, and I've now done the Germans, Soviets, Italians, and even the Japanese, and I've got a lot more coming soon, plus a few other videos in a different style. So if you want more insane historicity and a lot of frustration vented at Paradox for the lack of design presets, you should subscribe for new videos on Fridays, 5 p.m. British time. Ah, here we are, rule Britannia. We've got a lot of things, but equipment in our divisions isn't one of them. We've got old Baldy Stanley Baldwin, and looking at our focus tree, we'll of course be going completely historically, so just ignoring a lot of this. And it's going to be a very interesting game because we're not actually going to be able to fight in Europe for most of it. Other than defending France at the start and fighting in Africa, we will mostly just be in air power. And then presumably helping the Americans do D-Day, but we'll see if we give them the chance. Looking at our first division templates, the infantry division is pretty close to what it was historically. It definitely needs some arty, so we'll revisit that a little bit later when it's time to re-equip everything for the fight with Mustache Man. The tanks are far worse, however. It's just a tank brigade, and weirdly this is actually super historically accurate because this is roughly what a tank brigade was, because a tank brigade was closer to a tank regiment in actual size. So I don't know what the hell Paradox is thinking doing this, but we'll fix this later. We will be going at least some civ grid at the start of the game because I know I'm going to need a lot of dockyards and other things as well. And also, really weird thing about the British focus tree, you got the left and right path, so obviously I'm going to go the left steady as she goes, but most of the focuses are not historical, like Swedish and Norwegian intervention attacking the Benelux. These are all in case there's like an alt history event where they go and join Germany. I feel like literally over half of these I'm never gonna use. And since we're talking about focuses that will hopefully give me design templates, it's a good time to talk about what we're going to do with presets. In my last video, which you can watch by clicking the link on the screen now, I asked you guys what I should do when it comes to historical designs, whether I should just stick with just presets, allow myself to use ones granted by focuses, or if I should just go crazy and design them all myself. Well, by a pretty sizable majority, you guys have chosen for the compromise option, allowing me to use designs given by the focus tree. This means I will still be using presets, but will also use any designs that turn up in the focus tree. Funnily enough, this was actually a terrible video to introduce this in because the UK doesn't get any designs in the focus tree except for a Vanguard battleship. Also, for this video and future videos going forward, all of the research and evidence that I'll be basing my historical decisions on and division organization will be posted on Patreon and in a YouTube members post. This is to give back to those who choose to support the channel and also allows me to write a little mini essay explaining all of my decisions. So if you're interested, you can go check those out in the links below. Alright, let's look at our first presets. We are currently building the Gloucester Gladiator Interwar Fighter, which is a crappy biplane. And if we go to the proper airframe that we start with, we can actually build the Hurricane. British RAF enthusiasts will be literally crying right now. This is a good plane. Look at this. This is nice. I love it. We also have a slightly weirder Hector cast, but I'm more excited for the fighters because I'm going to need a lot of them. This is going to be an aerial game. I'm going to be doing a lot of air-to-air combat. We're also building the Light Tank Mark 6, which is basically a World War I era tank. But if we go to the presets, we can make the Vickers. However, the Vickers is exactly the same in design as the Light Tank Mark 6. This means that so far, the British presets actually work. I cannot believe it. I'm also going to be trying to build some large airframes because I think since I'm going to be doing so much air combat, I should probably get some strat bombers. That is going to be my big contribution. I'm also going to be needing to build a lot of ships, and weirdly there are no 1936 heavy ship hull designs right now. There's just none, so that's weird. But we can make one. It's the King George V, and it's a surprisingly good ship with some AA upgrades. I'm looking forward to building that when I have at least some XP. And just when I think about building his ship, he dies. Bye-bye, King George. Oh my god, the Rhineland's been remilitarized. Stop it. Yeah, that'll show him. We're also currently locked out of most of our focus tree on the left because world tension isn't high enough. So I guess we'll just go to the right side and try to get some stability. Alright, that's one more Monarch kicked out, but more importantly, we've got the large airframes. Let's see what the presets are. Oh, okay, it's the Halifax bomber. I was kind of hoping for the Lancaster, but I guess that's the next airframe up. That's fine, this is pretty historical, I like it. Not sure I like the drawing for the Maritime Air Patrol plane. What the hell is that? The medium airframe designs are even more interesting. The Blenheim is a fighter. Plane nerds will know that the Blenheim is the rather famous medium bomber used by Britain during World War II. But it actually did start out its history as a heavy fighter. It was just found to be too crappy, so they took the guns off of it and put some bombs on instead. And for medium bombers, we have the Wellington, the best named plane ever. Also, we're actually already building the Bristol Blenheim, and it's a bomber. But the preset for the airframe is actually the original Blenheim, which is a fighter. I don't know. This is kind of weird. I'm going to send a quick attaché to Republican Spain because I can't send volunteers, and I really want the war support to be able to get up to partial mobilization, which I will do right now. All right, bye-bye, Stanley Baldwin. Hello, Chamberlain. Much better mustache. Also, I've been looking at some more ships. The Town Cruiser right here is pretty good. It's got a lot of different designs. It's very multi-purpose. But if you actually go to the cruiser itself and try to build it from a preset, it's much worse. It's very bad. So I'm just going to keep building the one that the game gives you at the start because my commenters said I could. Okay, there are actually a ton of cool presets in the British Navy. Look at all the different destroyer types. It's even got the C-Class for this chassis, which is a bit weird because the C-Class wasn't launched until 1943. Doesn't matter. This is very cool for any British history nerds. Yes, join me, France. Join me. We also finally have the improved light tank chassis. So let's see what the presets give us. It is the Matilda tank. Oh, this is pretty good. It's got a big gun on it. This is kind of weird because the Matilda was not really a light tank. It was classified as an infantry support tank because British tank doctrine was not like light and medium tanks. They were like cruiser or infantry support tanks. So I guess Paradox decided that Matilda had to have been the light tank just because it was the slightly smaller of the tanks. But whatever, this is strong. Let's see what Paradox thinks the British medium tanks were. It's the Crusader tank. What? It even has the exact same gun as what's in the Matilda. This is really weird because the whole point of the Crusader tank, which was a cruiser tank, was it was supposed to be fast. Shouldn't this be the light tank and the Matilda be the medium? This doesn't really make any sense. Oh god, I've just realized that it has 62% reliability. What the hell? This thing's gonna fall apart when the Germans look at it. Doesn't even have radios, which is actually historical. For some reason, British tanks only had radios in the command tank. The rest of them just had to, I guess, shout and use flags. Oh, and also I finished the basic heavy tank chassis just because I wanted to see what it was. And it's just Vickers. It was a stupid experimental tank design with a bunch of extra turrets on it. Is dumb. Alright, it's now 1939, so I can now finally change up my division templates, and I'm going to show you the most frustrating thing I've had to do so far in this historical series. I found a really good source for the infantry division of 1940 for Britain, which is really the only time that any information is important because Britain didn't do any fighting until then. Look up the Phony War for more information. But I was having a lot of trouble trying to figure out exactly how much artillery was in the divisions. I knew that there was divisional artillery and that there were 2 regiments of 25-pounders with some mixed artillery as well, but I couldn't figure out how many guns that was. I ended up having to count the number of tractors in each regiment because 3 tractors equal 2 pieces of artillery. 2 tractors to carry 2 pieces of artillery and 1 extra tractor for the purpose of carrying ammunition and spare parts. This is very comical, ha ha ha, silly Aldra. But looking at this now, as I'm editing this, I can see at the very bottom exactly how many guns there are in each regiment. I have no recollection of this. Did this get added since I first researched this? Or, the more likely option, I just didn't see the glaring, big writing 2x gun 25-pounder right there. Put in the comments which of those 2 options you think is more likely. So anyway, here is what I think the infantry division should be. A 9-2 with 2 artillery regiments, and to help make up the missing artillery numbers, a support artillery as well. The divisional artillery in my research does show anti-tank guns, but a lot of the anti-tank equipment was actually anti-tank rifles, which had limited effectiveness, so I'm going to say that that makes them anti-tank support companies. We've also got a little bit of a cavalryco and field hospitals, and that's it. It's pretty good. I think this is a strong division. Might as well finally fix the tank division as well. All my research into the early war tank divisions, it's a little weird. It was about 50% infantry support tanks and 50% cruiser tanks, which means I have to have equal amounts light and medium tanks. And there were about 3 battalions of each, as well as 2 motorized infantry battalions. So it looks like this. There was also a mixed support battalion, which alongside a little bit more infantry and cavalry was things like support artillery, a bit of anti-tank and maintenance and stuff, as well as anti-air. So I'm going to say that those form the support companies, and this is basically the tank division that we have to work with. It does get a little bit better as the game goes on. We do start to add some slightly better tanks, and we also begin to add mechanized, and I think a bit of SPGs as well later, but we'll come back to that a little bit later. Stick around and find out. Also need to think about organizing our navy, because we have to have fleets in 3 different theaters: the home defense, the Mediterranean, and also in Asia. Let's just chuck everybody into one giant fleet. Oh, that's a lot of ships. And organize them. Okay, it took ages, but I've done it. I've got 3 fleets, each with 3 main strike force fleets with all the carriers and battleships and battle cruisers divided between them, with some cruisers and destroyers as screens, and the remaining destroyers make up the convoy, escort, and patrol for each of the fleets. I think this is pretty good. It felt like 10 years to organize all this, but this should work. Let me know in the comments if it isn't a good organization, but it's fine, right? Please? I don't want to do it again. And also, something weird, I researched amphibious tank, though I almost never do that. And it was the Valentine DD, which would be great, except there's no preset and there's no equipment. So, okay, it's fine. I just won't use it. Also, I'm going to remember to guarantee the independence of Poland. No idea why this doesn't come through a focus, but hey, whatever, let's go. Alright, there it is. I've got near enough a full army on the Belgian border with some tanks as a reserve in the event that things go poorly. And I also have about 1,000 planes ready to help in northern France. I've also got some boys getting ready in Cairo to defend El Alamein. They're not quite ready yet. They need to train up a bit, so I think I'm just going to wait for the Italians to push up and then counter-push them and have my own little battle of El Alamein. Plus boys ready to take Ethiopia. Alright, let's go. We're going to send a few hundred planes to go help out in Poland. My goal is just to whittle down the German Air Force. That's my contribution here. Oh my god, maybe not, never mind. Oh, we're losing so many planes. And they've just put 1,000 planes in Western Poland. I think it's time for me to dip. At least we're winning our first naval battle against Italy. That's something. We can grab war economy and then keep slapping Italian destroyers. And hell, why not also try and bomb northwest Germany with my strat bombers, the few that I have. Oh, never mind, they've immediately put fighters there and I've lost a plane already. Back home we go. And there's Poland dead. Oh, wow, great job. 1 division escaped. You're going to have a huge impact. Thanks, Poland. Oh, there goes pretty much a good portion of the Italian Navy in the Battle of Nicosia. I'm happy with this. Oh, here come the German planes into northern France. Now they're attacking Belgium and the Netherlands. It's almost time. Historically, this didn't happen until, like, spring of 1940, but Germany doesn't care. They just Russian. Also, I still haven't said anything to China. I need to be helping them out, at least with something. I've got the Burma Road. Come on, I can give them some guns, some support equipment, and arty. It's the least I can do, considering they have to fight Japan on their own for another 2 years. Alright, I've got a genius plan. I'm going to send all my TAC bombers and fighters into the Benelux region with the goal of just blowing up supply hubs and railway. So when the Germans bring forces down to the French border, they're not going to have any supply. Right, we're in a bit of a holding pattern now. We've got the French border secured, El Alamein is held, we're sniping some Italian fleets. Only trouble is, Norway is a thing. I keep forgetting that Norway doesn't get invaded by Germany anymore. It's like a civil war instead. So I have to send boys there right now, and I have no troops nearby except for the ones on the French-Belgian border. Sorry guys, I've got to send part of the BEF away. Please don't die. Too quick. Oh no, the German fleet have come back. Yes! Oh, we've done it. We've sunk them. Get wrecked, Donetsk. We destroyed the pride of the fleet and a whole bunch of other ships. Okay, that's the German Navy taken care of. Oh, the pushes on the line have begun and France is doing absolutely nothing. Good thing I decided to help out on the northern border. Oh, okay, that's pretty bad. We already need to pull back from Sedan. Come on, France, help out! Historically, the British moved up to the Dyle River in the interior of Belgium, but I just didn't get the chance to do it because Germany crushed Belgium so quickly. So I'm not going to get regular Dunkirk, but it looks like I'm still probably going to get pushed out of France pretty soon. Also, I've been sitting on 0 manpower for ages because I just didn't have the PP to move up to extensive conscription, but finally, we do. It's going to take a little while to catch up, but it's fine. Everything's going to be okay, right? Right? Oh, we've got a bit of a breakthrough west of Sedan. I'm going to move my reserve tanks to see if I can hit them in the west. Maybe we can make something work here? No way we can manage this. Our tanks are resistant to their attacks. We are armored, but there's just so many divisions. And they've got a lot of planes. They're wrecking me. Oh god. We have no bananas! Yep. This is pretty historical. The Germans have just crushed into the French line, leaving my troops in the north while the French fall back. Paris is threatened. Also, it is now 1940, so I can make a small change to my tanks. I can add 1 more motorized infantry because the tank divisions were sort of retooled and a bit more infantry was added to the mixed support group. So it makes sense that I can actually add some. Alright, we've completely fallen back now. I'm holding the river and holding Paris, but I think this is it. I've been holding for a little while, but I do not want to lose too many divisions here. Time for a controlled retreat. The Paris guys are just going to have to hold as long as possible. Come on, boys. Get home. Blighty awaits you. Alright, there goes France. But wow, they had no equipment whatsoever. What the hell? Alright, we've managed to evacuate most of our army. We lost a couple tanks and some infantry. That's not too bad. Falling in the outskirts of Paris. We gave it a good shot. Alright, boys are home. It's time to just start the Battle of Britain and send a lot more infantry to try and help out in Norway. There are now a lot of bombers hitting me in Britain. Oh, cool. We can do Operation Catapult and sink the Vichy fleet. I love that. That historicity is so good. Also, I haven't really been looking at Africa very much. I was too focused on Europe, but I just put them on battle plan and they've been crushing them. We've managed to pretty much entirely encircle the Italian forces in Ethiopia. We can then move those troops north and start a proper North African push to kick out the Italians. Oh yeah, wow. Okay, never mind. My boys there can do it on their own. The Italians are on the run. I've got some motorized divisions that are just encircling and snaking. Oh yeah. Look at that. There goes the North Africa Corps. Bye-bye. Hey, it's just like when I played Italy. We finally got the 1940 improved large airframes. Let's see what it is. It should just be the Lancaster. And hey, it is. Oh my god. That is a fantastic plane. Holy crap, look at all those extra bits and the turrets. I'm gonna build so many of these. I'm gonna do terrible things to Germany. Thanks to nicking the fleets of Free France and all the other small democratic European powers, we basically have complete naval dominance in the Mediterranean now. And even though the Italians are sending a lot of troops over to North Africa, we're just rolling them thanks to air and naval dominance. One really weird thing though is that the Germans have sent the entirety of the Luftwaffe into the English Channel, so the entirety of the RAF is there meeting them. I've got radar, so that really helps, and I am shooting down a lot of German planes. Since it's an aerial war, let's build the 1940 fighter. Come on, Spitfire. Oh baby, there's 3 of them. There are 3 different Spitfires. The basic one just has machine guns, but as they go up, they start adding more and more cannons. Oh, that's so cool. This basically represents the later changes to the Spitfire. Later in the war, they added more cannons to help beat some more heavily armored German planes, but I don't really need them. I'm just going to build the basic Spitfire. Feels like a cheat to build the late war builds in 1940. Also, it looks like Italy has completely pulled out of North Africa. That's it, we win. I'm just going to take over the rest of it. Whoa, check out this weird event. An Indian prince wants to send us planes, so we get planes, but we also get the Supermarine Spitfire, so we get a new template. This is interesting. This is different than all of the other 3 Spitfire presets, but it does have cannons. I've lost the air defense modules, but it means I have more range and I have more air attack. I'm just going to build these because we are allowed to use presets that have been given to us through historical focuses or events, so I say yes. Oh no, the boys that I was sending over to invade into Sicily, I need to move them over to Greece instead. I totally forgot about the invasion of Greece. I gotta help them out. And Yugoslavia has also joined, so they are not long for this world. Oh yeah, screw Yugoslavia, we've done it. We have invaded Sicily and pushed out the Italian defenders. However, don't hate me, but I'm not going to keep it. I'm going to pull out. I just want to scorch earth and do some damage to Italy. The reason being is I am scared that this could cause the Italian collapse, and it also might mean that Germany does not invade the Soviet Union in Barbarossa. So I'm just going to leave Sicily just in case. It was fun though, it was a good holiday. Ooh, okay, looks like the Germans have given up bombing me in the English Channel and they've moved to Yugoslavia. There's thousands of planes there. So I think now's a good time to think about bombing like northern France and the Benelux and just disrupting things for Germany. I can even get some strat bombers over to Berlin, so let's go. Yugo has capitulated incredibly quickly, so we're just going to hold a reserve line as well. And, oh, okay. Australia has invaded Sardinia on their own. I really hope this doesn't mess up the Barbarossa thing, but hey, thanks, I guess. Also, it is now 1941, and I have just finished researching Marines. Now, you might be thinking, why didn't I build Marines earlier? And the reason is because Marines are weird, and they don't really work historically in Hearts of Iron. Except in the US, most countries in World War II only used Marines as a sort of like specialized ad hoc task force. At most, they were like a couple battalions. And that just doesn't work in HOI with this divisional setup. The 1940 British Marines was basically just a couple battalions of some guys better trained to attack from boats, and it wasn't until 1941 that they actually added artillery as dedicated parts of the Marine Force, so that's why I waited until 1941. Also, the only way to make the division work is to extrapolate out from the sort of battalion-sized groups to a division, so this is what I'm going to say the Marines looks like. 21 width, it's fine. Let me know in the comments if you think this is disgusting, but I think this is really the only way to make Marines work as close to historically accurate as possible. I'm also doing very tactical strat bombing runs. Everywhere that the Germans send fighters to counter me, I move them away and put them somewhere else. Oh wow, they are seriously so committed. They have lost 1,000 fighters over the English Channel and are still contesting me. Please, Luftwaffe, go away. Also, I've just realized I'm so stupid. I was sending guns to China, but it didn't work. They just weren't receiving them, and it's because they have no convoys. They've lost the ports. I'm so stupid. All right, it's been a few months, and the Germans have now lost 1,800 planes in the English Channel, and they're finally done. They've given up. This is a pretty big contribution to the conflict. I feel like they're going to just lose Barbarossa because they can't contest the Soviet Air Force. It has meant they could focus on Norway, though, because I am actually losing it. I'm doing my best, but we're just getting pushed out. Oh, here's a good sign. The entirety of the Italian army is on the Greek border on my little reserve line. That's bad, but there's no Germans here. I think Barbarossa is coming soon. Oh, and also here comes Japan. They're going to be coming for me in a little while as well. I'm a couple focuses down, but Philippines first. Also, I finally have the research necessary to show you guys the improved medium tank, the Cromwell. I've had the initial chassis tech for a while, but I didn't have the guns because, weirdly, it required the tech from 1941 anti-tank because it's a much heavier gun. So I just wasn't able to build it until now. But oh, okay, scrap that about being a good tank. I just noticed, look at the reliability. 55%. What even is this? What's wrong with it? Screw falling apart when the Germans look at it. It's gonna land in France in pieces. At least the Luftwaffe is basically dead now. I think they are probably moving over to the Eastern Front, what little remains. So let's go back to bombing Europe. Oh, come on, I was so right. Look at that. Barbarossa, a bit late, but I knew it was happening soon. Let's do the nice thing and just support the Soviet Union as best we can. Tons of rifles and artillery, just anything we can give them, let's go. We've got a lot of equipment. Also, Japan's going to be here soon, so I can't neglect the Navy. Let's see what the 1940 destroyer is like. Oh, I actually get a preset. Fantastic. What is it? Oh, damn, that's pretty good. It's really expensive, but it's a jack of all trades. It's loads of anti-air, light attack, and anti-sub. This is just like a build 1,000 of these if you can afford it and put them everywhere kind of thing. And just in time, because here comes Japan Bros. And here comes the US. Yes. Interestingly, they haven't demanded Vichy France or brought Siam into the conflict, so the boys that I had ready to invade are just sort of sitting there attritioning in the jungle. It's kind of sad. This is the situation in Europe. We're just sending tons of equipment to the Soviet Union and to China as well, while we are also bombing as much of Germany and northern France as we can. This is what we're going to do, probably for the next couple of years, just absolutely devastate the German economy. I'm also desperately trying to build a better heavy fighter so that they can actually reach into Germany to escort the strat bombers, but it will not let me build a Boo fighter. It says I don't have the engines, but I absolutely do have the tech. It's just refusing. So I don't understand. Please. Oh, also I forgot. I can send an attaché to the Soviet Union. Let's see how they're actually doing. Oh my god, this is good. There's a lot of Soviet troops here and not many Germans per tile. Are they already failing? Japanese Navy's come out to play. They are slapping some of my crappier destroyers and my patrol fleets, which is not so great. Oh, never mind. Immediate vengeance. Look at that. We just destroyed all the destroyers. Brilliant. Also, it's happened. I've just taken a look at the air map mode in the east. The Soviets have aerial advantage over the Germans. That is thanks to me. Thank you very much, because I destroyed like 2,000 German fighters. You're welcome, Stalin. Oh, there we go. Bye-bye, Japanese Navy. Yamamoto BTFO'd. Absolutely no ships left. Also, I completely forgot about these cool Exile Forces actions. I can spend PP and actually increase resistance in occupied states in Europe, like helping out in Poland and in France, and it only cost me some infantry equipment. This is really cool. I'm literally just like causing trouble in Europe. I'm like a sneaky little fellow. It's brilliant. Alright, finally Japan has actually moved into Indochina, so I can at least start to push there and do something in the Pacific, because they haven't invaded me yet, so I'd like to help. Also, it's 1942. I can now add 1 mechanized infantry to my tank divisions because they were beginning to roll out more mechanization around this point. And I think this is pretty accurate. And more accuracy, let's send 20,000 rifles to the Soviet Union. I got you, baby. I'll keep you alive. Screw it. Have 1,500 Crusader tanks as well. Let's go. Look at these boys on the Greek line, by the way. They're just sitting there holding off hundreds of thousands of Italians. This may not seem that important, but this is keeping the Italians here and not on the Soviet front, making it so much easier for Russia to push in. Oh yeah, Finland is actually pieced out as well. That's going to be so many troops pouring onto the German line. I think, I'm certain of it. The Soviets are fully pushing the Germans back. It's only 1942. I think we can recommit back to Italy now. Let's invade Sicily and try to push up through Italy now. We don't have to worry about anything. Let's just do it. Oh, look at this. This is really weird. China has actually invaded Indochina, meaning I can't push any further into Vietnam. But interestingly, this means we now do actually have a land connection with China, so we can more easily send them stuff. Yes! We also have the advanced light tank chassis, and it's the Valentine preset. I should probably have been making a lot more of these because this was used throughout the war. But what is Paradox's problem? Look at the reliability. The last tank I designed had like 50% reliability. This has over 120. What the hell is going on? Alright, well at least Siam has joined, so I can finally push in that way. And the Italian invasion's going well. They have stopped us in Sicily, but we can just do another invasion and try and take Rome. Oh, didn't expect this. We've landed in Italy. I mean, I did do the invasions, but there's just no one here. I've taken ports and I'm taking Rome. Look at the absolute state of Italy. I am just rolling in. I'm moving some tanks and infantry in, and there's just not any opposition. I'm going to be able to divide Italy's forces in the south and the north. This is great. Oh my god, the Germans have lost over 4 million men, and I did over 1 million of it. That's brilliant. They've still got loads to go, but hey, there's suffering. And Italy is now completely out of manpower. Dude, come on. I mean, they are losing half of their country, I guess that makes sense. And there it is. Benito Mussolini has been deposed. Get out of here. And the Soviets are doing actual encirclements. This is great. I feel like I'm helping out, even though I'm not actively fighting in Europe just yet, except for the bit in Italy. I'm contributing. Oh, here come the Americans to steal my thunder. They've begun landing to help support the line, and I have pushed up pretty north into Italy. We just gotta think about trying to take Milan. Oh yeah, the south is now my puppet, so we definitely have to take Milan, otherwise Italy just won't capitulate. Also, final piece of historicity for tank nerds, the Churchill heavy tank. This is not bad. It's got crap reliability, but it's strong. Fun fact, this was named Churchill clearly in deference to Winston Churchill, but was supposedly actually named after John Churchill, the first Duke of Marlborough, but come on, it was clearly named after the PM. Oh wow. Also, I hadn't even realized, but Norway has been liberated. I was battle planning it, but I think it was mostly Americans and the actual Norwegians. I guess the Germans had to pull out as well. So, hell yeah, we did it. We saved Norway. Yeah, it was me, totally. You know what? Germany's suffering so bad. I wonder if we can just open up the front by doing D-Day now. I'll start preparing it. It is October. I should probably wait until spring, but... Oh no. I completely forgot about Vichy joining the Axis. They've got Syria. Oh no, the Sinai. No, the Suez Canal. I've got no troops there. Go. I'm sorry, Greece. Screw you. I have to help out in like Egypt and whatever. Also, I actually haven't made any paratroopers in this entire series, so I'm finally making the British paratroopers. There really isn't that much data out there for what constitutes a paratroop division before 1944, but to my best approximation, this is what the paratroop division would look like. It's a very simple one. Lots of lovely support stuff, and I know it did indeed have a bit of glidered-in light tanks, so we'll put them for the recon. And we will, of course, name this after our newest YouTube member, Otaku. A very fitting name. Oh my god, I'm so stupid. I'm so sorry, Otaku. I haven't built transport planes. I forgot. I've got all these paratroopers, and there's no planes for them to get into. Oh wow, the Soviets are doing really well. There's a huge breakthrough in the east. And oh, they're also attacking Iran. That's supposed to be like a joint thing. We're supposed to team up together. I haven't even got the focuses ready yet. No. All right, I'm honestly getting concerned. I think we need to start the invasion into France right now. The weather isn't ideal. This is the wrong time of year. But frankly, if I wait too long, the Soviets may actually cap Germany. All right, the Marines are moving in, but they are throwing me right off the port in Le Havre. I'm doing my best here, but it's just not happening. Let's send some more infantry divisions into Cherbourg, and maybe that'll work? Yes, Germany's too stupid. They pulled off all of the D-Day defenses into Le Havre, so they left nothing in Cherbourg. We have landed. Let's go, boys. Pile in. Liberation is here. Oh yeah, look at this. We are just piling in. There are no good troops here. There's no Italians to help, and the Germans are all too busy trying to defend on the Eastern Front, so this is all just reserve troops. We are crushing them. I'm pushing as hard as I can. I'm taking back Paris. The Americans are even starting to arrive, but the Soviets are getting so close. I don't want them to take so much. Also, I need another front because I'm starting to slow down, so let's add a little bit more historicity with an Operation Market Garden. I still don't have the transport planes for paratroopers, so I can't do like the Red Devils, but I can do a marine invasion into the Netherlands to liberate them. Okay, what the hell? Have you ever seen a better example of Hearts of Iron player bias? The Germans have completely pulled off of the Soviet front, leaving their capital basically wide open and moved all to my front to hold me back. That is crap. Well, at least I get a little reverse Dunkirk onto Germany and get to encircle a bunch of their divisions trapped in France. That's something. Yeah, look at this though. Fall of Berlin, March 1943, fully 2 years early. I'm not even close to Berlin. I've got a ginormous pile of tanks up in Netherlands. I'm just going to try and push into Germany and take a bunch of points to get a little bit more occupation score. Also, look at the German divisions standing around. They've all got winter coats on because they're fresh from the Soviet front. Oh, we've got the Yalta Conference where we divvy up Europe. I don't wanna, but I'm playing historical. I'll say yes, I guess. Alright, we've just been pouring into Germany, doing our best to hit everybody, and I really wish I'd done a collab government. This is taking ages. Look how little of Germany is left, but they will not give up. Okay, there it is. I just had to take a few more VPs. Look how little equipment they actually had left. Damn. I've also just beaten back Italy. I still have Bulgaria to defeat, but that's going to be very easy because the Soviets are hitting them in the north. I'll just move in. But don't forget, we still have Japan, and we're not going to ignore them this time. We're going to finish them off. But first, the Axis powers are gone. There it is, a very long peace deal, but this is what we were left with. We had control all of Western Germany in a British puppet. We've got British Italy, a British Bulgaria, Albania. We've expanded our colonial holdings in Africa like crazy. This is very nice. We did forget Denmark, though. I completely forgot about Denmark, so they are still fascist. Whoops. Oh, what? The fascist Denmark wants the Faroe Islands back? Hell no, they're mine. Get out of here. We will now finish off Japan. The Navy's basically dead, and the US isn't doing anything, so let's summon some Marines and invade the southern portions. Oh yeah, there's no one here. Okay, yeah, let's just send some tanks. I've had these boys ready for quite a while now, just getting ready to invade Japan, and yeah, we're just rolling up. And there it is. Bye-bye, Japan. Let's see what we can get. We got Iran, which is very nice. We gobbled up a bit of, like, Cambodia and Laos. And we have puppeted all of Japan itself, giving us a massively powerful puppet in the east. China did, of course, retake, everything else, but hey. I also completely forgot about South Sakhalin, so there is actually an independent democratic Japan in the north, but hey, whatever. It's the tale of two Japans. But there it is, that's it, we did it. We have defeated the Axis powers using only historical British designs and presets. That was a lot of fun. It was a totally different way of playing the game. I felt a bit like America sending endless lend-lease to the Soviet Union, but the main thing was just being a really powerful aerial and naval power. I was sinking dozens of ships and shooting down literally thousands of planes, and I think that's the reason why the Soviets won on the Eastern Front. That and the 20,000 guns I sent them. Do let me know in the comments down below any suggestions you have for other interesting countries that would be good to play really ultra historically. I've got a lot more videos coming through in the new year, including a couple that are in a bit of a different style, and one that's a big project I've been working on for absolutely ages that I'm really excited about. So I'd love it if you subscribed and hit that bell icon so you always were made aware of whenever I put out a new video. And if you wish to support me, there are channel memberships and Patreon links down below. Other than that, thank you so very much for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye-bye. Hello there. I've been really enjoying playing HOI4 using only the historical presets for tanks and planes recently, and I've done it for a few videos now, as the Germans and the Soviets, whom are competent, mostly intelligent militaries. But that all changes now. The Italian army, and government, and navy, and air force, and industry, has a bit of a reputation in World War II. So I wanted to see if the presets added to Italy in the recent DLC were also of a similar level of quality. But to make it a little bit more of a spicy meatball, I'm going to only use accurate, year-appropriate divisional designs alongside the tank and plane presets. Plus, I can finally experience the Navy, something I haven't done yet in this little series. So what do you think? Will I win? Will I be able to reverse the Italian curse? Why not like the video and subscribe and stick around to find out. Alright, here we are with Italy. We've got a decent army, we've got a big focus tree, maybe a bit too big, and we start out fighting in Ethiopia. The goal here is to win within 6 months, so I do need to commit a lot of forces to this. This will be a little hard because our starting templates are not very good. And because I'm using only historical divisions, I have to work based on the research that I've been able to find, and there's very little data for the Italian army before 1940, so I'm gonna basically not change my templates until that point to try to stick to the rules of the challenge. Speaking of which, we should take a look at our first presets available to us, which is our planes. We start with the BA-65, which says it's a CAS, but has machine guns on it, so I guess it's kind of both. But if we actually go to the airframe and use the presets like we said we were doing for the challenge, it's different. It only has a bomb lock, so that makes it a proper CAS. So we'll build that when we have the XP. And we have the C200, which is a pretty boring fighter, but it does have an engines too, which is kind of interesting. But what's really cursed is the tank. This is the L335, the Italian light tank, or the tankette. They built a lot of these and used them surprisingly late in the war. It's got a light fixed superstructure. It's got just a machine gun. It's very low to the ground. It's very stupid. I hate it. And I was really hoping that maybe the preset would actually be somehow better, because that sometimes happens, but nope, it's pretty much exactly the same. So I'm going to have to use that tank and just suffer. This is what's going to be in pretty much all of my tank divisions. The biggest thing I'm going to have to contend with, though, is going to be the Navy. So far in this historical design series, I haven't even built a single ship. But since I'm going to be contending with old Churchill and a massive navy, I'm going to not only need to build ships, but also build good ships. Right, we're off on a merry adventure to Ethiopia. Let's do the focus that gives us actual railways and ports and start moving some tanks down to the south, plus every bloody plane we can manage. The goal here is to take a number of key towns within Ethiopia very quickly, otherwise we start to get cascading malices. Plus I want to finish the whole thing within 6 months so as to not get any negative effects whatsoever. Right, I'm just doing lots of little pushes with mountaineers, coming from all sides and just grinding them down. It's actually pretty easy so long as you remember to build railways, something Italy kinda struggled with. I just spent an absolute age trying to grind down Ethiopia, not realizing there was a supply hub sitting right here, unconnected. That would have made it a lot easier. Alright, there we go. That's taken care of. Now we can actually move down our focus tree and start thinking about our internal economy and preparing for the 1940 divisions. Also, it's been so long since I played Italy, I totally forgot about the missions from the Il Duce. He wants me to pacify Ethiopia by getting everything to this insane compliance goal. Mate, I'm not going to be able to do that. At least we do get the unique garrison order colonial police, which makes compliance growth in African states surprisingly good. We've also got a bunch of random equipment. Might as well just sell it on the market. I'm sure someone will buy everything, and we need some help setting up our economy. Hey, straight away, Germany and Sweden wants to buy our crap. Thank you. It finally happened. I got some dockyards, so I thought I'll build some 1936 destroyers using presets. That'll be fun, right? Nope, they're both exactly the same. They are unnamed and they are only anti-submarine. They have no use basically in my fleets other than to absorb hits from enemy ships. Okay. Oh god, now this damn Il Duce wants me to strengthen the military and get up to 750,000 men in the field. Dude, it's not the right time. I've been civ greeting. I only just started building mills. Leave me alone. Well, since he wants all these men in the field, I guess it's time to look at our division. Let us make the full 1940 infantry division for Italy. Based on my research, this is what it should look like. These were the so-called binary divisions, so named because they only contained 2 infantry regiments, each with 3 infantry battalions. A pretty small division. It also has an artillery regiment and something called the CCNN Legion. This was basically like a fascist militia. These were kind of like an integrated SS from the German army. They're just gonna have to be regular infantry battalions. Another weird thing is, even though it does say an infantry regiment with 3 battalions, the actual number of artillery guns in the division is so low that 1 artillery battalion is enough. So this is what the division is gonna look like, with some anti-tank support and NG support. It's not great, but it's not terrible either. I also haven't been building any anti-tank, so I should probably get started on that. And since we're here, we might as well plan our tank divisions, but the big problem is that there is very little data out there for what constitutes an Italian tank division before 1941. The only place I can find a reference for 1940 is actually Wikipedia, which states specifically the number of L3 tankettes and a limited amount of the equipment within it. So using that combined with the 1941 template, this is about as close as I think the 1940 to 41 tank division should be. 3 tanks, 2 motorized, 2 freaking cavalry, and a bunch of motorized artillery and anti-air. However, a source I found said specifically that by mid-41, the motorized artillery and anti-air had yet to actually arrive in North Africa, so I'm gonna say that it's just like this, and I will add more motorized artillery as 1941 begins to roll around to represent the fact that they haven't been added to the divisions yet. Also, I'm going to have to wait a long time to be able to replace these crappy light tankettes with proper medium tanks, because apparently there was only 100 medium tanks built by the start of the war, so I'm stuck with these tankettes for a while. Speaking of medium tanks, I do now have the basic chassis, so let's see what presets we have available. It's the M11. Which again is just like a small cannon and once again a fixed superstructure. This is not right. This should be the M13. This was the tank that was beginning to be developed by the beginning of the war. This is a problem because my divisions are going to have to be using this. It's not very good. I also need to contend with the Balkan diplomacy. It's been ages since I even looked at this. I don't want Yugoslavia to become my puppet. I just want to occupy it. I think maybe if I demand Dalmatia and also the throne of Montenegro, maybe they'll not accept and I can fight them? I don't know. Let's find out. We've taken Albania and I have demanded Montenegro as well, and I did not realize, but holy crap, there are a lot of resources in Montenegro. That helps me out massively. Also, I was planning on moving to mobile warfare because Italy starts with Grand Battle Plan, but looking more at the tanks that I have available, I think maybe I should just pretend that tanks are just sort of in the background, and I should stick with the grand battle plan. It's also, honestly, a pretty good doctrine now. It used to be like the meme doctrine. I think it is very strong now. All right, it's 1939. The whole fight's about to start. I've got a big army on Yugoslavia, an army on the French border. I've got forces on Africa, on both fronts, in Ethiopia, on Corsica. I am so ready. I don't know what the hell Italy's problem is. I've been able to get loads of divisions out. Now, historically, Italy didn't actually join until a little bit later, until France was really taken care of, but I'm ready. Let's go. There we go. We're pushing into North Africa and also trying to get towards Egypt because the British are not ready. And I've got a little force ready to destroy the tiny little bits of Britain and France in Ethiopia, and then we can use those forces to push out, and we'll be able to dominate all of Africa. I've also got my navy ready. I've just been building the ships that I had already designed because I didn't really have enough time to research any new ships. And you know what? It's going okay. We're actually sinking some British ships. Oh, okay. Okay, now another engagement. We've lost about 10 ships. That's all right. That's all right. It's okay, though, because Germany has taken care of France really quickly. I did not help at all. They've just been blitzing, quite literally. Oh, and the British are also already invading me in the Dodecanese Islands. I did get garrisons on them, so they should be okay, but, ooh, they were really quick. We've made it right up to the gates of El Alamein, but then the British tanks have arrived, and, they're starting to push me back. Something tells me my tankette divisions are not very good. Oh, wow. Is this 1943? Britain is invading Sardinia with an actual tank. Thankfully, I have moved infantry over, so I should be able to deal with it, but that was a close one. I lost a tiny bit of Ethiopia to a British push, and that means I lose power in the whole scale between El Duce and the Grand Council, just because a tiny bit of a recently conquered bit of Africa has been taken by the British. My life gets harder. Okay, that's not historical. What? Hungary's just attacked Romania. Please tell me in the comments why this just happened. This is very much ruining my history enjoyment. Deep breaths. I'm sure I can get some historical joy from making the new tank preset that I have with the improved medium tank chassis. Let's see what we get. That's not right. It's an M16. What? Where's the M13? That was the main tank for Italy during World War II. What is this? What? It was a prototype? Only one of them was ever built? What? Why is this the tank preset that's available? And the worst part is I have to build this. I have to use the preset. I can't use the M13 that I got from a Focus. God damn it. It's wrong. It's not historical. I hate it. Oh, and speaking of not as historical, Yugoslavia has submitted. Now I have this gross puppet here. I wanted to fight them and fully occupy them. It would make my borders all pretty. I also can't put these medium tanks into my divisions until 1941 hits because that's the only time I can find evidence of medium tanks actually being present in divisions. Also, small thing, in previous videos in this series, I've been making sure to use the historical designers, like Daimler-Benz for the Panzer III and stuff, but there is only Fiat for tanks for Italy, so I'm just doing Fiat. Sorry. Oh, okay, I thought North Africa was going okay, but they have invaded behind me. It's fine. This is why you keep reserve infantry divisions ready. We also have the 1940 plane. Let's see what horrors the game has in store for me with the new presets. These are exactly the same designs as the previous airframe. What? In fact, they're worse. They've got a smaller engine. Other than being on the better airframe, it has worse equipment. Why? Did they swap them? Well, I gotta make it. That's just the way it is. Oh, hey, that's cool. A little bit of historicity for the game. I did the utilize film industry thing to get a bit more war support, and it gives a film about Scipio Africanus. That's pretty cool. Yeah, celebrate our history. And build better tanks, please. We have another big problem with our tank divisions, which is that later on I'm going to need to add some self-propelled guns to our divisions, and they are very specifically the Semavante 7518s, and I do actually get one for free from Focuses that I can use, but again, that's from Focuses, not from presets. This means we have to wait until we can get the preset 7518 from the wrong chassis. I also need to get a more advanced bit of artillery tech before I can build this. So this is going to delay me, but it's just what I'm going to have to do. Oh god, the British have naval invaded me again, right behind my lines and on a port. Apparently I didn't add these ports to my garrison orders. Oh god. Alright, it is now 1941 though, and this means I can finally put medium tanks in my divisions. And based on my research, I think this is probably the closest to what they actually used. Way too much motorized artillery, and it still had cavalry in it for some stupid reason. But later on, one of these artillery will actually be replaced with a Semavante 7518 self-propelled gun, but until that point, I'm going to have very low org. Everything's updated now, and as you can see, we are basically out of equipment now. It's terrible. And damn Il Duce wants me to take Greece. Come on, dude. We might need to be doing some naval invasions, so I think it's time we do the 1941 Marine Division. And this is what it looks like. Yep, that's it. No actual dedicated Marines, just kind of regular infantry and a bit of support. It also has like a few light tanks, the little tankettes, so I think that's enough for an armored reconnaissance, and specifically MPs. So this is apparently the Marine divisions the Italians used in the war. I just don't understand how they lost. It's crazy. We have actually been encircled in Italy, but we've got more forces to relieve them. It's going to be fine. But as a consolation prize, we can make the Semivante 7518 at long last. It's bad. It's not really got anything. Just fixed superstructure and an improved howitzer. I mean, it's got a lot of soft attack, but it's not very strong. Well, this is what I got. Okay, maybe I was a bit distracted. They have completely encircled me. German forces have arrived to relieve, but it's not enough. They are really coming in strong. Maybe if we push to El Alamein, we can get to Alexandria, maybe? I know what the solution is. I'm going to commit fully to being Italy and start a whole nother war on another front, even though I'm underprepared. So let's attack Greece. My boys are just rushing east to try to get to Alexandria to see if we can maybe retreat from the port. Let's see if it works. At the moment, it's just hell. We've got encirclements in encirclements in encirclements. Everyone keeps getting unencircled every 5 seconds. It's terrible. I think North Africa's lost a bit early, about 2 years too early. But the entirety of my forces are encircled. Oh, this entire army. No, everyone's gonna die. No one's gonna survive. Oh my god, look how many divisions are gonna die. Look at them go. I cannot get over how real and Italian this is. I'm gonna have lost like 2 armies. We've pushed almost all the way into Greece though. We're just stopped outside of Athens, so that's pretty good. There goes all of North African forces. We are now at 1.2 million casualties. I guess I have to completely rebuild my army in preparation for Barbarossa. We've got like 1 army and 8 tanks left. That's it. Oh my god. Germany has just sent me everything I need. Even Panzer IVs for my divisions. Oh my god, thank you, Germany. I love you. And in return for that, I'm going to help them on the Barbarossa front. I'm going to put my units on the, I was going to say Romania, but it's not. It's Hungary border. And also my tanks as well in open spaces. And we're just going to help with the general push. I think the mindset is I need to not be the main character. I am supporting Germany. That's all I'm doing. Oh god, here's the real main character. The US has joined. Oh no. I'm just trying to do my best to push in through open ground with my limited tanks and just use my infantry for pushes. I got Grand Battle Plan, so it does help. Also, I'm now finally going to add the self-propelled gun to my tank divisions because it's time. We do need to have that. This whole thing is going really, really well. We've taken Kiev. We're pushing into Crimea. And I would like to take the credit, but it's mostly Germany. Germany's divisions are actually not too bad. I do have like 800 planes helping as well, but still. It is already winter, but we're still pushing. We've actually managed to reach the Caucasus. I think I need to actually be just sending my tanks and infantry anytime there's a little gap where the Germans don't have the ability to send units there, like in the Caucasus. So I'm going to go there and just see if we can open up a second front. I have lost so many men, I have to go to service by requirements so early in the conflict. I'm just trying to recruit new divisions to replace everything I've lost, because I still need some divisions for the D-Day wall, and also to defend Italy in case we get invaded. Also, it's now finally 1942, so we can improve our tank divisions to the 1942 model, which I have 2 different sources for, though one of them is a weird Wikipedia one that seems to have simplified everything down. The key thing I'm noticing is just how much self-propelled artillery there is here. And also the fact that one of them is actually a 90mm rather than the 7518. But then the Wikipedia one, it doesn't mention it whatsoever. So I guess I'll add the 9052s later on when I have enough of them. And for now, I'll keep it to a sort of split the difference version. And I think this is what it's going to look like. The cavalry's finally gone. It's got 2 SPG battalions and also motorized artillery battalions. This is a bit of a better division, but its organization is still really low. It just does not have enough motorized infantry. I'm now getting to the point when fighting the Soviets where supply hubs are few and far between. So anywhere I put my tanks, I just drink up all of the fuel and supply. So I think I'll move them out and then move them back in again when relevant. Again, I gotta remember, I'm supporting Germany here. I'm not the main character. In fact, why not? Let's send some of our spare equipment to Germany. I've captured a whole ton I'm not going to use. Let's give them a bunch of, crappy rifles and all kinds of stuff. They deserve it. The 42 Spring Offensive is here, so why not celebrate by making the final division, the 1942 Alpalni Division. It's mountains. They're mountaineers. It's not a giant improvement, but, you know, it's better than just 6 battalions of mountains. Once again, it's 2 divisions, each with 3 battalions, but there's a lot more support stuff. There's field hospitals, and it also has dedicated artillery. Meaning I can put, I think, what equivalates to 2 artillery battalions. I should mention that there actually is one more upgrade we could do, which is the 1942 Infantry Division. However, it is only used in North Africa in the late period of 42, having then quickly been scrapped later on. These divisions never actually saw action on the Eastern Front, so it doesn't really make sense to create them, especially because this is what they look like. A lot more artillery and anti-air than you might expect, and they no longer have the CCNN battalions, the fascist militia, instead having only 6 battalions of infantry, meaning this is what they look like in the game, and they're pretty bad. Only 42 org, not worth it, and I'm not going to make them because, again, these were disbanded very quickly. So I'm going to keep using the kind of lame divisions on the Eastern Front, if only because otherwise I think I'd probably lose the game. All right, the pushes are continuing. We are about where we were historically. I was kind of hoping we'd be a little bit further along, but it's okay. It's mainly supply that's the problem. Oh god. Okay, this is why we kept reserve forces in Italy. Britain has landed, but not on a port, so it's fine. I'm just going to knock them out, and it's fine. Got the new heavy tank chassis, and it still doesn't give me the correct 9053. I do have a template for my focuses, but again, I have to use the presets, and I keep hoping that a chassis will give it to me, but nope, it wasn't a heavy one. Oh, and we also have a motorized division we haven't made. Let's make a motorized division. Yeah! It's actually kind of a simple design, if a bit small. 2 regiments of motorized infantry and 1 regiment of motorized artillery. Alongside support anti-air, anti-tank, and a couple other things, including MPs for some reason. It's a perfectly fine division, if, you know, a bit small. We're going to, of course, do the smart thing and name it after our most recent patron. So welcome to the Leldy Division. It's got a nice ring to it. Oh god, and I'm gonna need those Leldys because Vichy France has been attacked, which means that there are going to be a lot more naval invasions soon. I need to be protecting some ports. Oh god, loyal viewers will remember this. I have been stopped once more outside the gates of Moscow by the river. I was thinking I could really quickly push it, but no. Once again, my crappy tank divisions are just not good enough, and the supply is just poor enough that I cannot breach it. Oh, all for my complaining, I put it on battle plan, and my tanks have actually breached it. They managed to go around the back of Moscow, and we did it. Finally. It's still nowhere near close to being defeated, but still, good progress. It also has caused a very ugly salient, so I gotta be careful. I'm gonna ask for Moscow and the surrounding areas from Germany, and I'm gonna see if I can just up the infrastructure, because Germany is not building railways. Alright, we're nicely halted now, and I should mention, it is 1943, and I'm done with designing new division templates. There are no more historical documents that I can find evidencing new Italian division organizations, and that's just because something funky happened to Italy in 1943, and there is very little data that I can find that actually lays out what a division is. So I'm just going to keep using my 42 templates and just sort of suffer. Oh, speaking of suffering, I don't remember this happening. All of North Africa just instantly flipped to France. Did this always happen? Every single unit that I've sent to North Africa has now been encircled and is going to die. How have I managed to lose the entire North Africa Corps twice? This is too real. One small consolation though, but Stalingrad is taken, and it wasn't even me. Germany actually took Stalingrad. I had infantry around them to help, but they did it without me. My guys were resting. The Italian forces actually didn't do anything at Stalingrad except fail, and the Germans did everything. Wow, where's this familiar? It is also D-Day time, but it's a surprisingly small D-Day, so I'm just going to reallocate the forces I've kept in Europe to try to throw them off the beaches. My main role, it seems, on the Eastern Front is being air controller. I mean, I don't get Germany's planes or anything, but I'm just using my planes to sort of chaperone all the forces, and it's going okay. Russia basically lost their entire air force in the last couple of years, so I'm just trying to gain air dominance wherever I can. Also, I should mention, I completely forgot about being able to form Greater Italy by going through the focuses. I've just been so distracted with, like, divisions and the presets and the whole losing my entire North Africa Corps twice that I didn't even remember. And now I can't do it because I lost North Africa. Oh well. This is a really fun way to play HOI. I'm really surprised. I thought I would be a little bit bored being, like, second fiddle to Germany, but it's so fun to just sort of have this elite corps pushing wherever the line is thin. Around Leningrad right now, it is super thin, so I've just sent my armies over there, and we're gonna take it, because the German army is a bit too overpressed. And honestly, with that, it's only a matter of time, just taking VPs and pushing here and there. Supply is the biggest problem, but little small pushes with my tanks are doing most of the work. Okay, well I say that, it is now January 1944, it's been several months, and we've barely made any progress. The winter just slows to a halt, and even though I've got a collab government on the Soviet Union, it doesn't seem to matter, I just can't get them to capitulate. Oh, there's a brief little incursion into Greece. The Allies have invaded in the Peloponnese, but I'm still holding on. Oh, and it's D-Day 2 Electric Boogaloo. They have landed and took back the coastal bits of the Netherlands, but I've got units right there. And the German D-Day wall is obscene. Like, there are hundreds of divisions here, including tanks. This is crazy. How is Germany doing so good? We have just unlocked the newest medium tank chassis. Let's see what it gives us. We can build a new M16, but of course that came from the focuses, so we will only use the presets, and it is the M20. I have literally no idea what this tank is. Alright, screw it. I guess we'll build it. Let's go. I mean, it's not very good, but what are you gonna do? Alright, the Soviets are finally starting to fall back. Their poor supply is just as bad as ours. It's just targeted pushes and endless attrition. Another thrown back D-Day, just no big deal. And we do get a new heavy tank chassis, and we can make a very cool P-43 tank. Very cool. This was kind of like halfway between a heavy and medium tank, and there was only like one prototype made, and obviously production never started for this because Italy had some fun times in the mid-1943. I'm probably not going to build this though because the divisions don't have heavy tanks in them. I just thought it was cool. On the Eastern Front, we have finally taken Kazan, which I think is going to be everything we need. We've got a little bit of an encirclement, we've got supply, taking a little bit more territory here and there and waiting a few months, and then my whole computer freezes. And you know what that means? It means my crappy CPU can't handle the peace conference. Look at that. We did it. We won. We helped Germany beat the Soviets. The borders are very much bad. I don't like this at all. The Germans fought me every step of the way, and also for some reason they liberated a fascist Russia, whom has then immediately joined the Allies, but I'm just gonna forget about that. I'm gonna say we did it, using only historical divisions and presets only, and using ones from 1941 and 42. That's even cooler. We helped out Germany, and we didn't instantly capitulate and fall apart into a civil war. Yes, true, we lost North Africa completely, twice, and barely gained any territory, but it doesn't matter. We helped. Thank you very much for watching. This has been a lot of fun. It took a really long time to make. I have more of these historical division videos coming out ideally every single week on Friday at 5 p.m. Definitely do give the video a like and comment down below any suggestions you have for other countries you think would be good to play using only historical divisions. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Hello there. Everyone always talks about the USA in the 40s as saving the world with Lend-Lease, steel, and superior technology. But is that really true? Does American factory power really trump Soviet manpower and blood, and British air and naval supremacy, and tea? And what does Paradox think about the USA? What kind of presets have they given them for all of their equipment? Well, I want to test all of that right here, right now, by playing the USA completely historically in HOI, which means not only using the historical presets that have been given to the USA, but also using only totally historical divisional designs based on way too much research. This video, however, will be a bit different from my others because I personally think the USA is too strong, so I want to make it harder. I will be max buffing Germany and Japan, as well as half buffing Italy, because Italy, giving them all these buffs to ensure that the Axis stand a chance. For more obscene challenges with an historical leaning, why not subscribe? And if you want, you can support the channel through YouTube memberships or on Patreon, with all links below. Okay, the USA in 1936. We won't be joining until the 40s, so we have a long time to prepare, but we've got a lot of problems. We also have the fun minigame of Congress and having to balance out the number of seats to be able to actually go through our focus tree. The focus tree itself is actually really cool with multiple paths that are all really fun. We will of course be going historical, which means totally democratic. And there is a very fun kind of exploity path you can do where you sort of temporarily go communist to get all the bonuses there and then immediately switch back to democratic. And while that is obscenely strong, we will not be doing that today because it goes against the spirit of the challenge, I think. Sorry, Earl Bruder. So before we do anything else, we are going to be clicking medium lobbying effort and kind of keeping it up for a long time because I need to go down a really specific focus tree path to be able to actually do anything. Then we're just going to work down the New Deal and towards WPA. Something slightly unorthodox I'm going to be doing is not building any factories for a while. Thanks to undisturbed isolation, it takes way too long to build any kind of factory. So instead, I'm just going to build infrastructure in pretty much all of my states. It improves construction speed, but mainly it gives me more resources, which is really what I'm after. I'm going to need a ton throughout the game. I'm also envisioning basically needing endless M1 Garand, so I'm just going to build that for forever. Looking at the USA's starting divisional templates, they're surprisingly historical, but also kind of wrong. We'll get more into the research a little bit later, but currently these are two different designs from different time periods, and the National Guard division is actually what the entire US Army was, called a square division. But it changed later, so we'll come back to this. However, the biggest thing I'm happy about is finally being able to make true Marine divisions. It was really only the US that had proper Marine divisions throughout the course of the war, and now I can actually make them. It's brilliant. Our first little bit of PP immediately get taffed. I need more PP. Also, just having a look at our starting navy, holy crap, it's huge. Look at that, group them all into one big fleet, 15 battleships and all these carriers, and I'm only going to build more. This is obscene. Also, we finally got a little bit of the Great Depression improved. Next is Neutrality Act, and a whole lot more of waiting. We finally have the 1936 heavy ship hull, and I can't make it. Apparently, I don't have the battery. This is really weird because this is basically the North Carolina class battleship, so I don't know why it won't let me make it. Oh, wait. Oh, no, I got it. Here we go. Okay, it's because the North Carolina class technically had 16-inch Mark 6 guns, which is, for some reason, the 1940 gun tech. So I can't make the 1936 battleship until I have 1940 tech. Okay, we're also going to start building the 1936 destroyers rather than these weird early destroyer hulls. Not sure why we're building them. And they're pretty good, so let's go. We'll even name it and call it the Jared Destroyer after a lovely patron. I'm also not going to assign any officer corps because I need to save up all my command power for something fun a little later. You know, the Congress minigame isn't all bad. You get these little events where if you build like a factory, you get a whole bunch of support. Hey, I was going to build factories eventually. You got it, Senator from North Carolina. Alright, here is the key for the whole strategy. Our next focus needs to be Selective Training Act. This just because it sets our base war support to 10 if it's already less than 10. But the moment our war support goes above 10, we don't get that base support anymore. This is vital for being able to leave undisturbed isolation, so we need to time the selection of this focus with also an attaché to China. This is why I've been doing medium lobbying efforts the entire time. And I'm also doing farm subsidies, and we're going to do special measures, which just gets us over the threshold, finally allowing me to click this focus. This is absolutely massive because it means I can go down towards giant wakes and basically turn on the US economy a little bit earlier than you might expect. And look how committed I am. I'm actually going to wait 20 days to be able to select Fair Labor Standards Act. That's right, I'm going to waste days of a focus in order to keep to my established focus order. Oh, but the best thing, the Japan-China war has begun. This is obviously not good because Japan will destroy China because I max buff them, but it does mean that I will be able to send an attaché, which will bump up my war support. Then we get giant wakes, putting us to civilian economy, allowing me to go to partial Moby super early and absolutely exploding in industry. Straight to partial Moby, and look how many factories we have now. Oh my god. I did start building at least some civies because I ran out of infrastructure spots, but now it's all mills all the time, baby. Oh my god. We also do want to be getting as many dockyards as possible, but I'm waiting until we get Maritime Commission, which gives 10% dockyard construction speed. I'm trying to be super hyper efficient here because I'm really scared about the max buffed Germany and Japan. Goddamn though, I cannot get over it. Look at the number of construction slots we got. We're gonna explode. We also have our very first plane design, the Early Strategic Bomber, and it's the B-17 Flying Fortress. Pretty standard, but it's got all these turrets, which is very cool. I'm starting to get extremely concerned about China. They are not coping well against Japan. Yeah, I'm concerned about air production. I think I need to start building fighters now. Interestingly, the fighters we actually start with, the P-35A, are surprisingly good. They've got like different machine guns. They're pretty alright. Some of them are a bit weird though. The A-17 CAS has machine guns, making it a multi-purpose. Not sure about that one. But weirdly, when I actually go to the airframe to try and use the presets, though I can make a slightly different CAS, I can't make the Warhawk. I don't have the guns, it seems. So that's weird. Oh, and god, I always forget about this. I'm playing a major naval power. I've got tons of carriers. I need to be building the carrier airplanes really quickly. Oh god, there's so many. I gotta have fighters and CAS and naval bombers. It's also finally time to get the first medium tank. It's the M3 Lee. For some reason, the M3 Lee has a fixed superstructure. What? It's got sloped armor and a cannon. It's not too bad, but why does it have a fixed superstructure? I've also finally got all 6 of my research slots through the focus tree. And good thing I do, because there are so many naval techs that I need to research if I want to have a chance at beating the Japanese Navy. Oh god, apparently I'm building too many capital ships. The UK has issued a stern warning. I've decided to ignore it, and nothing happened, so okay. Good job policing the world, UK. For most people, 1939 means the beginning of the European kerfuffle. For me, it means that I can build new factories thanks to the new industry tax. Look at that. Oh, I'm running out of space. All right, here it comes, the big fight. Let's see what Germany does. Oh, and also, thankfully, naval treaty abrogated, so any possible consequences of building too many capital ships is gone. Oh, God. I hadn't really paid attention, but look at China. Oh, no. Buff Japan is too strong. I can at least start to send some Lend-Lease to China, if nothing else. Come on, boy, you can do it. Just hold out. In fact, let's do that for the Brits as well. Let's just send basically every Garand and support equipment we have. Like, we need to just send them so much gear. There's no point giving it to the French because it'll just go straight to Germany, but the British can use it. Oh, it's been a really long time since I actually played the USA, especially democratically. There's a bunch of unique little things I can do to help boost war support in Britain. That's so cool. We also have the improved light chassis. Probably should have built this quite a while ago, but it's the M3 Stuart, and it's a great tank. I like this one, and thankfully it's not a fake superstructure. It's good. I'm going to build a ton of these, just like real US did. Oh god, just while I was sorting out the Lend-Lease to Britain, France has capitulated. It is only November, and Germany has already dominated Europe. That is upsetting. Oh, that's weird. I can actually join the Allies right now if I want to. Britain will just let me in. That's honestly kind of broken, but I'm not going to do it. That would go against the spirit of the challenge. I'm not going to join the Allies unless, like, the UK were to start falling or something. Speaking of ahistoricity, oh god, no, China, how could this happen? Though maybe it's not going to be too bad. Britain is invading in Albania. True, they're getting encircled and destroyed, but they're trying, okay? They're putting my equipment to use. In the meantime, we're just going to be grinding out our 1940 designs, like the 1940 heavy ship hull. It is surprisingly good. Oh, and also I researched the basic heavy tank chassis, but I'm not going to build any of these because these were never actually built, so screw you. But the moment I've been waiting for so long, the improved medium chassis. Look at that, it's the Sherman, baby, let's go. Cast armor. A gun, sloped armor, it's beautiful, and no fixed superstructure. This is a good tank. Not a great tank, but it's a good tank, and it's cheap to produce. I'm gonna make thousands of them. Let's go. Also finally have the tech for the 40 fighters, the Air Cobra, baby. Look at that. Machine guns, and also range extenders. Probably gonna need that, because I'm gonna be fighting in a lot of different air zones. We also finally have mechs, which means I can now make the tank division. This is going to be brilliant. The 1940 tank division is kinda weird. It's listed as having all of these different regiments, both light and medium, but the thing is, in terms of size, they are actually closer to just regular battalions. So to try and make it as close as possible to historical equipment numbers, this is what I think the 1940 tank division is like. 3 lights, 3 mechs, 2 mediums, and a motorized artillery, because no SPGs yet. The only iffy thing is the number of mech battalions. There is actually only 2 in my diagrams, but the thing is, when I count the amount of half-tracks in the division, it's far more than just 2 battalions, so I've added an extra one to make up that deficiency. Plus the extra org is nice. What? Oh my god. No. London has fallen. Okay, yeah, you remember earlier when I said I wouldn't join the Allies unless something like this were to happen? Well, it happened. I'm joining the Allies. I cannot have the UK capitulate. That would be absolutely tragic. I'm joining the Allies now. I don't care it's a year early. This is, oh my god, a successful sea line. This is terrible. Let's get every damn plane we have training and send them over to the UK to try to, I don't know, help somehow. And we're definitely going to need to send at least some of our armies that we've been recruiting over there as well. I am scared. I've also now finally split my fleets up into little sections. We've got a lovely Atlantic and Pacific fleet with a main strike force, some patrols, and convoy escort, another convoy escort group, and a whole bunch of submarines for both Japan and Germany. My army is now in Britain, but I haven't done any attacks because I've been waiting for the 1st of January 1941. because I have only been able to find information about the infantry division for the US Army from 1941. Before that, it's just the, National Guards, which doesn't seem right. So I've waited till now to attack because I can now redo the divisions. Based on my research and literally counting the amount of artillery in a division, it's going to be basically a 9-1 because there were 48 pieces of artillery. That also includes some support artillery as well, and a bit of support anti-tank. It gains more anti-tank later on in the war as more bazookas get added, and also maybe an actual tank battalion, but we'll see. So now we'll wait a few days for everyone here to reallocate and re-equip, and then we can push the Germans out of Britain. Because they've really not committed that much. They took London and then just didn't put more troops here. I don't really know what's going on. And Britain barely put any troops to defend either. It's kind of like they all just decided, Algiers will take care of it, no worries. All right, there we go, we've kicked them out, and now it's just time for a reinforced Battle of Britain and try to overwhelm the German industrial capacity by shooting down all of their planes. Oh my god, there's like 1,000 here. We are shooting a lot of Bf-109s down, but they are also killing us, so oh boy. Since we're finally starting to win the air war, let's get the large strat bomber for 1940, the B-24 Liberator. Look at all the things it has. It is packed filled with turrets. Look at it, it's a beast. It's also obscenely expensive, but I'm going to make these by the bucket load because I want to bomb Germany to oblivion. Okay, the Allies are going hard right now. There are naval invasions into Sardinia that are happening without my support whatsoever. That's amazing. And look, the Italian Africa Corps is getting absolutely BTFO'd. We're doing okay. Ooh, that is a little sooner than I was expecting. Japan is about to start something. Okay, it's okay. I got my navy ready. Hitting 41 again, which means even more factories in the US. I was forced to build in the Philippines because I literally ran out of slots in the States, but it's fine. We're okay. All right, here comes Japan. Remember, this is a Japan with all of China owned, so they're going to be very strong. Naval battles are kicking off straight away as well, but they're going okay. I am super scared for India, though, because there are limited forces on the Chinese border, and when Siam joins, they're just going to get overwhelmed. I think I'll send one of my Pacific armies to help reinforce them, and hopefully that should be enough to stop the Japanese hordes. And of course, now for the big boy stuff, Germany has attacked the Soviet Union. This will be the test. Just how strong is a max-buffed Germany gonna be? I'm not leaving anything up to chance though, so I'm gonna send the Soviet Union everything I can manage. Guns and artillery and support equipment, just everything. But the main thing is gonna be guns. I have tens of thousands of spare Garands just lying around. I'm gonna give them literally all of them. Ooh, and the beginning of Barbarossa means that there are no fighters over Britain anymore, so time to move over my medium bombers and strat bombers and start blowing up Germany. I can't get a ton of range, but if I prioritize civilian and military industry, it'll at least do something. Oh boy, we also have a huge Japanese invasion into the Philippines, so we need to deal with that right now. And the German-Soviet front isn't too bad, though St. Petersburg has been taken by Finland, which implies that the Soviets are struggling on the actual front. Okay, this is actually hell. I'm having to juggle both the Pacific and also the German-Soviet front to try and provide Lend-Lease. I've lost more units in the Philippines and lost about a dozen divisions to encirclement. I have to fight now with no supply. I guess I'll build a naval base and hope that I can get supply there before they completely destroy me. Oh, it happened in the North Island as well. It happened again. I just lost a dozen divisions for no reason. I wasn't keeping track of it. Oh my god, there's so much to think about. And it looks like my fleet is repairing, which is why so many invasions have happened on my watch, and I've lost a lot of my screens. I need to build way more destroyers. It's also 1942 now, so I think it's finally time to get some Marines. Yes, I've been looking forward to this so much. I wasn't able to find any evidence of the equipment or organization of a Marine division prior to 42, so that's why I'm doing it now. It looks to be a pretty standard Marine division. It's a basically 9-1. However, it has a surprising number of light tanks. Within the special troop section, it actually has a light tank battalion as well as an armored tractor battalion. And looking up the actual numbers for what that means, I think it's okay to add a light tank battalion to this division. Basically making them kind of Space Marines, which is pretty cool because they're actually Marines. On the naval front, we are starting to whittle down the Japanese Navy. We've sunk one of their carriers. I'm losing some stuff too, but it's going okay. We also need to think about making a light SPG gun because that's going to be very important very shortly. So that's going to be the M8 HMC. It's honestly pretty bad, but hey, it has soft attack. I just wish my Pacific fleet wasn't completely eating sand. They're just getting caught by the Japanese a ton. I think it's time to move over the Atlantic fleet, split off like half of them. The German Navy isn't really a concern anymore, and I think I need to worry about Japan. Oh yeah, we caught the main German fleet. There it goes. Okay, they're no longer a concern. Also, it's now March 1942, which means it's time for some new armored divisions. I have only found research to specifically the 1st of March, so let's go. I've had to count out the exact number of each bit of equipment, but as far as I can tell, 108-ish light tanks, 216 mediums, and like 60 to 80 mechs, as well as some light SPGs. So this is what I would say the new division is like. I have been a little bit cheeky here and added in a motorized infantry battalion when that didn't exist, and the only reason is because there are just way too few trucks in this division if I don't add that. And there were a lot of trucks in this bad boy. Plus, this brings the manpower up to the requisite roughly 10,000 that the armored division would have actually been. So I think this works, and it also gives me more org. Let me know in the comments if you think that's cringe, but hey, I'm just trying to be historically accurate here. Oh no, it's all falling apart. The fall of Baku, and then swiftly afterwards, the fall of Moscow. All right, I'm getting real concerned here. If the Soviet Union collapsed too soon, we're not gonna be able to do anything. I think we have to start preparing for a genuinely early D-Day. Oh, what? The fall of Rome? Oh my god, Britain has actually invaded Rome and taken it? This is incredible. I actually kept 24 divisions in Sardinia as a sort of reserve force for just this occasion. Let's go. Yes, we have landed in Italy, and there's basically no Italians here. I guess because they're fighting on the Eastern Front. Let's just see if we can capitulate them really fast. And again, the European front has distracted me for the Pacific front. The Japanese have basically taken the Dutch East Indies, and I am not helping at all. Don't matter though, within like a couple months, we've deposed Mussolini. This is fantastic. I'm just snaking everywhere. Plus, we now have the landing craft technology, which means it's time to think about a genuine invasion into Normandy. Honestly, that is a very weak Atlantic wall. I think I could do this. I've got a lot of Marines. Let's plan something here. Oh, there we go. There goes Italy, or rather, the puppet has formed. It's sadly gone to Britain rather than me, but that's fine. And I instantly capitulate Italy, and it all goes to the puppet, Regno del Sud. That is fantastic. Italy is out of the war. Okay, now we just got to move our armies up to like push into like Yugoslavia area and see if we can maybe take Germany from the south. Let's bring a whole nother army group over. We got to do this. Okay, we're smuggling armies onto the German border from the south here. There's no one here yet. Oh no, they're here. They're coming in pretty hot from Hungary and Germany as well, and they're starting to push me back. Okay, let's form some kind of line. But hey, at least the German Navy's basically dead. Oh yeah. Since there's no German Navy, I think we need to do a D-Day right now. We're going to put planes all over the sea zones and air zones, and also transport planes for supply. Okay, yes, this has gone okay. I have landed on one port in Belgium and another tile. The attack into Dunkirk is not going super well, but I can reinforce from here. Oh, I completely forgot about floating harbors. Ah, that's so lame. They'd have been really useful right now. Whatever, I'm just going to move over my infantry and tanks. We've smuggled everybody in, but Vichy has also just joined. We have to do our very best to push as quick as possible. I guess we're going to have to move some troops to actually defend the Vichy-Italian border as well. We've made a really nice foothold in Europe, but I'm now starting to struggle a little bit. I don't really have any pushing power. I do have tanks and they can do small bits, but there's just so much German infantry. I don't know what to do here. I think what I'm going to do is take off all of my coastal defenders that are on the east coast, turn them into regular infantry, and move them to Europe and start using them as part of the pushing force, or at least the holding force. I don't think the Germans are going to have any chance to invade me anytime soon. Oh, hey, look, a reverse Dunkirk. Get wrecked, Germany. Oh, God. No. Germany has just completely annexed the Soviet Union. We weren't quick enough. This is so bad. Every single division and plane that was on the Eastern Front is going to pile on to me right now. I think I've just got to take every opportunity I can right now, do really tight pushes with tanks, and just take everything up to rivers, and then think about maybe invading Germany, because I think we need to end this soon. We're also getting pushed like crazy in Italy by the forces from Vichy and also in Germany. I think I need to completely fall back and see if I can hold behind that river that's on Milan. I don't know the name of it. Hopefully this little weird two-lined fallback system will work. I really do not want to have to give up all of my Italian gains. Main concern, however, is the sheer number of planes. There's no need to have the Luftwaffe over the Soviet Union anymore because they're dead. So they're just hitting me like crazy. I'm going to try and selectively blow up a few of their fighters, though, and, I don't know, do things tactically. This is scary. We also do finally have the advanced light tank chassis, and this is the Chaffee tank. That's fun to say. Surprisingly pretty good tank with a close support gun. Very heavy on soft attack. This actually didn't really see much service in real life until the later war period. They didn't see much reason to replace the M3 Stuarts, but I'm going to get to building these and use them when I can. Okay, selective pushes has worked. We have liberated Paris and taken back the Seine River. It's been hell though, because there's a lot of Germans piling in. Also, taking and liberating all the rest of France isn't actually going to help us. We might be able to encircle some French divisions, but really we just need to get to Germany. The longer we wait, the more divisions they pile out because they've got tons of bonuses because I was stupidly put them on very high buffs. I think we're going to have to do a little bit of cheese, and that means paratroopers. This is what we start with as a parachute division, which is very strange, and this, I think, based on my research, is what it should be. The little guide I found for the airborne division of around this time period actually does mention divisional artillery, which includes actual para-dropped artillery pieces, but the game will not allow me to add that because then it will no longer be a paratroop unit, so I'll have to just stick to support artillery. However, one thing I can add is para-dropped light tanks, which is a special support company that you get through the Special Forces Doctrine, and basically is like a really small light tank, usually a Tetrarch tank from the British Army, and put on these little glider planes that like swoop in, which I think is very cool. Also, one small note is that the parachute divisions actually had a lot of glider infantry, not just paratroop infantry, but there's no way to specify that in HOI, so this is what you get. Alright, I was planning on doing this with paratroops, but I was a little bit lucky. I planned a marine invasion in northwest Germany, and it just worked. They didn't really have much coastal defense. I've smuggled in about an army's worth of units, so I'm going to see if we can push out a little bit and get some tanks in here. Also, just realized that I'm still sending Lend-Lease to Churchill. No, dude, I'm sorry. I need it. Alright, I've managed to get pretty much all of my tanks in the European theater in this little pocket, and weirdly, Germany is just not pushing me. I'm not quite sure why. We are 12,000 infantry equipment in the hole at this point, and while we are doing pretty well when it comes to fighters, like we are shooting down more, they still have so many, so it really is kind of hard to maintain air superiority. Also, for those paratroop lovers, I now have the full doctrine tree for paratroopers, so I think I'm going to need to use them pretty heavily. I'm going to take 10 divisions, turn them into paratroops, and see if I can, I don't know, snipe some VPs or something. Come on, let's go. One thing I did not anticipate when playing the USA is running out of steel in the entire world. I have just nothing left. I built so many factories and dockyards right now that I am completely out of steel. I should probably consider moving off free trade. Okay, maybe it's not just me. Look at this. Germany, I think, is out of tanks. Their tank divisions have super low strength. This might be it. This might be the key to our victory. If their tanks cannot fight me, we win. Unfortunately, once again, the Pacific Theater has been completely ignored by me because I was paying too much attention to Germany. India has fallen. The entirety of the army that I put on the Chinese-Indian border has been completely encircled around Bhutan, and Japanese forces are rushing Delhi. I have completely abandoned my ally and ruined the world. The Dutch East Indies has completely fallen, and the Philippines are falling as well. I have done a very poor job at being the protector of the Pacific. Well, if I fail to help protect against Japan, I can at least crush Germany. I've got paratroop boys all ready to encircle Berlin, because I feel like the thing does exist still where you can surround the enemy's capital and then completely starve them of supply, right? Please tell me I'm right. Oh yes, look at that. Completely surrounded their capital, fought them off, and pushed out around Berlin. Also, we now have the advanced medium tank chassis, and looking at the presets it gives us the T-20, which was actually a prototype medium tank that didn't actually end up being used, and the base design elements of it actually became the Pershing in the later bits of the war. This is really weird because, in actuality, what the Americans did is they sort of upgraded the Sherman as time went on and upgraded the gun. So a more accurate 1943 Sherman tank would be to replace the medium cannon with the improved medium cannon to represent the switch to the 76mm anti-tank cannon, which I think is a pretty historical thing to do, so I'm going to do that. I'm basically making the tank from Fury. Okay, surrounding Berlin just did not affect the enemy's supply. Maybe that's a fixed exploit now. Maybe they changed their supply capital really quickly. I don't know. But I've taken Berlin and just got rid of it. It's fine. And now we're just kind of gradually pushing out. And again, the enemy AI is just not really stopping me. They're not really being very aggressive. So I'm just smuggling as many troops as I can. I've shrunk the forces that I have in France and pulled back and let the Brits hold that and moved all my troops into the German front to try to, you know, destroy Germany. I think the only thing I can do now is to use paratroop boys and try to take victory points as quickly as I can. So let's just do a big leap. Okay, I did it. I jumped. My boys are there, but I don't think it was enough. They had defenders. Too many of them died. I've been able to liberate a couple of them with some tank pushes, but I think it just has to be good old-fashioned tank pushes and infantry slow crawl. I have literally pushed all the way to Switzerland, and they are still not dying, please. Also, quick look at India. Let's not look at there anymore. Let's just pretend that doesn't exist. All right, I've done another stupid paratrop, boys, down to try to take Metz, but also Vienna, and just a bunch of other victory points, and doing incredible pushes. Come on, please. Just give up. How could they possibly still be fighting when they've lost all of this land? But it's okay. One more bit, and then... Alright, Germany is dead, but unfortunately, as always seems to happen, Bulgaria has become a major. So, I will paradrop into Albania. It's okay. We'll snake into Sofia, pull even more units in, losing a lot of American lives along the way, but I am just desperate to grind this through, and there it is. We did it. We defeated the Axis powers with a completely conquered Soviet Union as well. Not for a long peace deal. Alright, there it is. That took like 20 minutes to get through and let my CPU handle it, but I have puppeted Russia and all of Germany. Britain did a lot of liberations, but kept their puppeted Italy, and also did a lot of other stupid nonsense as well. Now it's just time to wreck Japan. You might be thinking, how are you going to do this, Aldra? They control pretty much the entirety of the Pacific, and you haven't done any work to contain them and failed utterly as the defender of the Pacific. But just you wait. You'll see. But first, though, look at the heavy tank we just got. It's the Pershing. This tank is so cool. It only really got rolled out in the later stages of 1945, but it's such a badass tank. It's sloped armor, the turret. It's just a great tank. And was frankly used more in the Korean War than World War II, but come on, it's so cool. It was meant to be the replacement for the Sherman, but never got a chance. It's awesome. Alright, but back to the Japan invasion plans. We're going to repair the fleets that I've moved over from the Atlantic, so they no longer have heavy fires. Apparently my carriers are just on fire. And sweeping over massive armies of infantry from Europe over to the Pacific. We're going to post them on every bit of naval base we can. There's a really tiny bit in like the Bering Sea or the Bering Straits here just by Kamchatka, because now Britain owns it for some reason. And we're also going to naval invade Attu Island, which we actually lost to Japan, with some of our marines. And now that we've reclaimed that, we can then post more troops to invade into Japan itself. Why did Japan just ally with Spain? It's fine, it's fine. I've kept some divisions nearby, and by that I mean they decided to accidentally reroute themselves through the Suez Canal, so they're nearby. So I'll put them onto the French border so that Nationalist Spain doesn't just overrun all of Europe. I'm just gonna marine invade the very northern tips of the islands and basically just fight my way through. It's probably gonna be a little bit hellish, but it'll be fine. Also, it's 1944, I should update my infantry divisions. I found a very funky graphic for the average US infantry division, which lists it as having over 13,000 men, 1,400 vehicles, which is insane, and a surprisingly large 66 pieces of artillery. As well as that, it has 57 57mm anti-tank guns. So to be able to get those similar numbers in both manpower and equipment, I think this is what it has to be, a 9.2 with an anti-tank. This is very good against tanks, but also very expensive. The tank division design didn't really change much from 43 to 44, maybe a little bit more mediums than lights, but it stays pretty much the same. Alright, my boys have managed to do really well, and they're pushing into Hokkaido, and it's going great. I'm going to do another invasion down south into, like, Tokyo, and it's just going to be a mad rush, honestly. Oh, baby, we did it. We landed, not in Tokyo, but, you know, really close. We're just going to bring everyone we have over, build air bases, and just put every plane in the world, and there it is, the fall of Tokyo. I'm just snaking and destroying. Most of Japan's forces are on the China border or fighting in the Philippines, so it was actually all part of my plan. Also going to finally use the War Plan Orange, which gives me attack bonuses against Japan, something I really neglected to do against Germany towards the end. Forget about it. Super easy push, and there it is. Japan is donezo, and that's it. There's no one else to defeat. This also destroys Spain. And this is the peace deal. It's not that much. I mean, we did puppet the entirety of Japan and China, but all we really did is just turn those countries blue. I probably should have liberated them and made them like independent democracies. But you know what? I want real American power. We win. That was surprisingly hard. I did not expect that to be such a challenge with Germany and Japan max buffed. Italy didn't really put up much of a fight, but you know, what do you expect? But Germany defeating the Soviet Union before I could even consider joining or doing anything serious really threw me off. It was hard. So in answer to the question of whether or not I think American industrial power won the war, pretty much, yeah. Not on its own, but it did a pretty good job. Thank you so very much for watching. Do be sure to leave a like and a comment suggesting a new video idea or a challenge you'd like to see me execute down below. And don't forget you can support the channel by joining YouTube memberships or Patreon, as you prefer. Thank you so very much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye-bye. Hello there. There are a lot of great countries when it comes to effort and contribution in World War II, from British ingenuity, tactical oversight and air force, to American steel and navy, all the way to Soviet blood and sheer suffering. And then there's France. Listen, France was going through a lot in the late 30s, from a disjointed government to an interesting view on military strategy.
Now this is epic!
Now, while it is surprisingly easy to survive as France in HOI, if you build forts and play meta, I wanted to test out the actual French strategy, divisions, and historical presets that they use to defend their country, and find out whether or not the France surrenders meme is actually true. I've got a whole lot more of these historical divisions and presets videos coming really soon, and I did have a goal to hit 32,000 subscribers by April 1st. My age, by my birthday, to play the famously complicated Black Ice mod. And yeah, looks like I'll be doing some suffering. So I can announce the Black Ice Historical Divisions video will be released on April 5th to give me time to drown in research and complicated UI, so if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe for that. I wonder just how old you guys can make me by the time the Black Ice video comes out on April 5th. Okay, France. We've got lots of divisions and loads of templates, and normally you just delete most of these and only work from a couple, but we're going to be using pretty much all of these. We start with the infamous Maginot Line, and the smart thing to do, obviously, would be to build loads of forts up along the Belgian border, extending the Maginot Line, but we're not going to do that because that's not what happened historically. The Belgian king was pissed off and didn't want to allow it, so they never built the forts. We're going to be using not only historical divisions, but the historical battle plans as well. Oh boy! This means we need to go down the historical focus tree and deal with the crappy democratic path, trying to rush down the ability to remove disjointed government so I can actually get some political power. I also have the trouble that I need a lot of research to be able to make all the different types of divisions, some of which won't even be available until 1940, and I need to have these things ready by 1939, so I'm not really sure how I'm going to do this. We're going to start with some pretty standard research, and we're going to build up a little bit of a civ economy to start with. France is very interesting in that we actually start with the 3 tanks we need to be building to make our tank divisions, the Shah B1, H35, Suomio S35. I will start out building at least a few of these now, and I will look at the designs of them a little bit later because some changes will need to be made. You'll see. I've broken up the French army into all of its different subtypes. Just look at how many different types of units we have. The colonial infantry is actually pretty accurate, basically just a bunch of infantry with a small amount of artillery, but everything else does need to change pretty considerably. One thing I want to draw attention to, however, is the Brigade de Chars de Combat. This is actually kinda accurate, and I'm terrified to make and use these. You'll see why. It's so bad. France, what were you thinking? This event is probably the best thing that can ever happen to France. You just get a free bump to early mobilization, which gives you so much construction speed and good stuff. It's so good. Also, a small thing for the focus tree, I'm not going to be rushing down disjointed government removal because I actually need to get a military advisor really quickly because I need ticking experience. If I don't get this, I will be incapable of making the divisions I need in 1939 because they cost so much XP. Spain has officially requested aid from us in the Spanish Civil War, but unfortunately the French government historically was opposed to intervention. There were about 6,000 volunteers from France, including a lot of planes, but in actuality the government was opposed to it. So nope, bugger off Spain. Alright, I got a little bit of XP now, so I do just want to talk about this Suomio S35 tank. This is what the game designs the tank as, and it's actually pretty accurate. It's got that 47mm SA-35 gun, it had a coaxial machine gun, it's all pretty accurate. The only thing I want to talk about is the radio. I know, this is nerdy, but officially the S-35 did have radios, but in actuality, only platoon commander tanks had radios. The French didn't make enough. So during the war, almost all of the S-35s didn't have radios, they just had receiving antennas that barely worked. So it isn't really accurate to say that this has a radio. Base HOI doesn't let you make radio sets like other mods do, so what I'm going to do to emulate this is I've been building this for a year with radios. I'm now going to take the radio out, save this as a design, and now only make S-35s without radios. to simulate the fact that some of my tanks will have radios and some won't. Is this going too far? Is this taking historical notary to the utmost heights of idiocy? Let me know in the comments. I'm also going to rename it the S35 Otaku after a lovely YouTube member. Since we're here, I'll just show you the other tanks as well, the Shaw B1. I think this is just a really accurate tank. It had a 75mm howitzer. There it is. I love it. I'm super surprised. And the H35, just a crappy little tank with a small gun. Though weirdly, it has cast armor, which is strange. But I like it. These historical designs are pretty good. All right, no more disjointed government in a year, which means we can finally start to improve our economy and get rid of some of our malices. Though I do really need to go air focus so I can get some air XP to actually make some planes. I do really need some fighters to at least slightly contest the Luftwaffe. And on that note, by late 37, when my civs are done, I will start building proper mills. Alright, I got some army XP, and I've got the small fighter tech, so let's build some planes. We did actually already start with some already ready with the earlier airframe, like the BR-19, a very early CAS, and the D-510, a fighter of which there were quite a few hundred of in the French Air Force, so I probably should have been building them before, but I just didn't have the factories. Our first preset is the MS-406, the fighter plane, and I love it. This is exactly accurate to what the plane was. It had 4 machine guns, and it had a cannon. It had the engines too. This is amazing. I am so proud of Paradox. The CAS, however, it's also pretty accurate. It's pretty boring, the BR-693. However, not a lot of these were actually ready in time for the war, which is why the French really didn't have much close air support, but we'll still build some now. Also, I have now hit 70% stability, which finally removes the political violence idea. It just also means I can finally revoke the Matignon agreements, which horrendously damage my factory output without having to deal with the protests. Hooray! Alright, fate of Czechoslovakia, April 1939. This seems like a good time to make all of our divisions, because this is when France really started to gear up in fear of a German attack. I know, pretty late. Right, here is the infantry division that we start with. A nice, simple 9 infantry battalions. Pretty simple, but actually, the division had a whole crap ton of stuff in it, including a lot of artillery. It had 52 AT guns, 56 artillery, and a whole bunch of other stuff. I think this is probably as close as I can get it, with 60 anti-tank and 48 artillery. That's a bit too much AT, but I can't quite get the numbers right with the combination of line battalions and support companies. It's also really weird because a lot of the sources I found for the infantry division had extra anti-tank guns for the senior regiment, whatever that means. So the AT numbers were actually fluctuating quite a lot, but I think this is pretty accurate. It also had engineers, field hospital, and recon. So there it is. This is kind of expensive. Now, however, we come to the hellish part of this, which is all the different kinds of mobile and mechanized divisions. This, for example, the Division Légère Mécanique, is probably the closest one to a conventional World War II tank division, and it had all kinds of nonsense in it. The division itself was supposed to have 112 medium tanks alongside 51 AMR-35 light tanks. However, half of the medium tanks were usually actually light tanks because of a lack of supply, but we will emulate this with 2 medium tank battalions and 1 light tank battalion to get the right number. For the infantry component, one of these will actually need to be a mechanized infantry battalion because there were quite a lot of mechanized half-track infantry, but I don't have that tech yet because it's a 1940 tech and I've only got 3 research slots. There's no way I could have researched it in time. So I will add this later on when I actually can, but this will be mech. There was also a pretty significant armored car detachment, which I hate, so we're going to put some armed cars in the battalion as well. And finally, it had 36 motorized artillery, which means we can perfectly replicate that with 1 motorized artillery. And there it is, with some support anti-tank radios and mechanics. This is the division. It's not that terrible, right? I mean, it's not good, but it's a decent-ish division. Very low in org, of course, but I think it's not the worst. What I do hate, though, is the Brigade de Chars de Combat. These were individual tank brigades that were made of very small numbers of tanks. They were then very quickly amalgamated into Division Cuirassier, which is like, you know, heavy cavalry divisions, so like meant to be heavier tanks. Except, for some reason, they also added a bunch of light tanks to it, so it's a mix of both heavy and light tanks. So the division only actually had 68 heavy tanks, but it had 90 lights. The best way to emulate this is to have 1 light tank battalion and then have armored recon, which gives us a little bit more light tanks. I think that's pretty close. For the infantry, it only had a mechanized chasseur battalion. We obviously don't have any mechs, so we will just use motorized for now. And then it did have quite a lot more trucks and ancillary infantry, so I'm going to replicate that with 1 more motorized infantry battalion. It also had supposedly 24 105mm howitzer guns, but the thing is they were massively undersupply and mostly operated as support guns, not really field guns, so I'm going to put them as support artillery instead. And that's it. It's just so crappy and tiny, it's not going to be able to do anything at all. Finally, we had the Light Cavalry Division, and these are the worst. They only had about 2,400 men in the actual cavalry section, so I need to remove quite a lot of the actual cavalry within them. And then they had mechanized infantry. I obviously don't have mech, so I will replace it with motorized and replace it when I can. And then also armored cars, alongside some reduced artillery and anti-tank battalions, which I will replicate with support anti-tank and artillery. This is what it looks like. It's just, what is the purpose of this division? I ask you, I beg you, France, explain it to me. As you can imagine, this has caused some significant equipment deficits, which I now need to fix. Most notably, my support and my anti-tank. Oh boy, this feels like history. I did just finish the arms purchases with the US focus, which is really good. It allows me to, only for a little bit of political power, basically just get free equipment, but it's not super versatile. It's a small number of planes, a small number of tanks, a little bit of arty, or quite a lot of guns, but I can't get like anti-tank or other things, so not that great. It is now August 1939, so it's time to actually prepare for the fight. I've grouped my troops as best as I can. Some colonial infantry on the little bit of Italian border in Africa. We got 14 divisions on the Italian border, 21 boys on the Maginot Line, which should be more than enough to hold against the Germans under Gaston Henry Billiot, and our remaining soldiers are still being recruited. This is the army that will actually go up against the German forces, so I'm still recruiting and training them, but I've got a little while before Germany actually makes its way through Belgium, because that's what the plan is. The French historical defense plan of their country was to let the Germans attack through Belgium and then, holding along the Ardennes, rush their units to the Meuse River. Then dig in and prepare for another trench warfare. I'm going to have my motorized infantry, which, by the way, had the exact same organization as the infantry divisions, just, motorized, and all of my cavalry jump to the position of the Meuse River, dig in, giving my infantry and tanks time to move more slowly up, and then begin entrenching, meaning we should be completely fine, right? Right? Alright, there we go, it's all kicked off. We got a couple months to training up the meager air force that I've got ready so as to fight in Belgium. Oh wow, we are straight away getting a bunch of Lend-Lease from Britain and guns. That's very kind of you. Thank you so much. Oh look, the BEF, the British Expeditionary Force, they're here. Let's go. Thank you, Chamberlain. Oh baby, you give me the ones that were in Africa, leaving your line completely empty. I guess I'll pull them off and hopefully they'll just replenish them elsewhere and not just completely leave Egypt to die. Oh yeah, there goes Poland. Lovely little encirclement. It's all over for them. And they've attacked Luxembourg, not Belgium and the Netherlands, just Luxembourg, so I guess I'll send some divisions from the Maginot Line up there to help. Oh, and they've jumped on the Netherlands, but they're still ignoring Belgium. And make sure the British are on the northern section of the front. Okay, there we go. That took them ages, but let's do this. All right, time to send all of the mechanized and motorized forces as quickly as possible to the rivers and the Dutch borders while allowing the infantry to catch up slowly. Hopefully this will be enough. We can start to contest in the air a little bit to help us out. And I'm going to move my tanks to the northwestern section in an attempt to maybe push them back a little bit because, oh, they're really being aggressive in Ghent. All right, we're holding on the river. And they are starting to hit us a little bit on the Maginot Line, but of course the forts are fantastic. And we are holding a little bit beyond the Meuse as well to give our boys time. But I am very concerned about the northern section. Also, I am losing a lot of CAS to enemy air. Maybe I should ground them until the Luftwaffe Air Force is a little bit diminished. My big shot at combat are pretty much trained now, so let's move them a little bit north. We're going to use them to plug gaps and maybe counter push if needed. They're just so weak. One big problem is we have basically no anti-air in our divisions. Pretty much every division type had no more than like 8 total guns, so I didn't really seem intelligent to put support anti-air. So we are getting hit by enemy planes a lot, and it hurts. Okay, Luxembourg has now capitulated, so the line is fine. I'm having to extend the Maginot Line to cover up a little bit of gaps, and my boys are doing okay. I've got like a small fallback line if necessary. I just have to keep cycling troops, and the idea is that I've got like 2 tiles right behind the front line, and if anyone falls back, they can just rest up there and then immediately go back onto the line. The worry is enemy tanks are better than ours and enemy planes are better than ours, so we are bleeding. We have managed to hold for quite a little while, but I'm getting real worried about the Ardennes forest. Feels like the Germans might slip through. Okay, yeah, no, Liege has fallen. That means the river is breached, so the northern front is very exposed. Is this it? Come on, maybe we can take it. No, we can't take it back. Oh boy. Time to pull back. Time to build a new little line behind the next river. Okay, so they're starting to push really heavily now because I don't have the same entrenchment bonuses. Oh, they're starting to touch French land. Casualty-wise, we have given Germany 130,000 casualties, whereas we have only suffered 72. That's pretty good. Oh god, why did no one tell me that the Ardennes forest could be pushed by German tanks? I had no idea. All right, I think it's time. Belgium is basically wrecked. There's another river we can fall back if we just abandon Nord-Pas-de-Calais. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to pull back to those forest lines and just try to hold. Yeah, there goes Belgium. Okay, that was so fast. It's fine. We're just going to keep moving our divisions along that line. Remember, there are no forts here. I was not allowed to build reserve forts, even though that would have been very smart. I have managed to get some divisions on the line before the combat started so they can work up their entrenchment. I can get up to 56% entrenchment, so I really, really want that. And hopefully the British divisions can not get Dunkirked. They are holding in the north quite nicely. And there we go. They are hitting our line, and they have immediately broken through the line. Oh, dear God. No, no, no. The British, however, did not get Dunkirked. They have fallen back. Kind of had to abandon Calais. That's fine. They can take up the northern section, and I can keep moving my forces along the south. Oh, no. Okay, so they have completely penetrated behind the Maginot line. This is really terrible. This means that I have to completely abandon the Maginot line and fall back to a new line. I also think it's time to fall back from the Italian border. They haven't actually attacked me yet, as historically they joined quite late. We'll pull back to the big river, because I think the Maginot boys are going to need to fall back pretty far. Yeah, we've had to fall back quite a lot and go to the next river, but 9 divisions were unfortunately trapped in the Maginot line. I'm so sorry. I think the only thing I can do is name them after all of my members and patrons. Sora Pinteresco, Singularity, Tea Drinker, Otaku, Leldy, Hersher, Canadian Kerbal, Jarrett, Robin. You must hold. But I can't spend too long looking at those guys because we need to build even more fallback lines. We are literally defending at Paris in the north, but the southern front is collapsing. We gotta keep pulling back to rivers. Everywhere we can get some kind of natural defense. They are so close on me. All right, I'm pulling back the southern crappy front to defend in Bordeaux, and I'm pulling the remains of the Maginot army to defend on that big, thick river that kind of cuts North and South France in half. I can never remember what it's called. Hopefully that can buy them time for the Paris guys to heal. I don't know. We're just holding. Remember, the plan was never to survive. I was always going to lose this because, remember, we're being historical. It is now the 6th of April, a bit after my birthday, and we are still holding. Historically, France fell, I think, on like June 15th, so I was kind of hoping I could hold until this point, but wow, look how much of my country has just been destroyed. Ooh, yeah, the big river has fallen. This means they are really rapidly encircling me, and they're on me so bad. Paris is now completely encircled. There's an election. There is actively being an election held. We are like 85% occupied. Who is making it to the voting booths to vote in this election? There's not time. I mean, look at this. Come on. We have held pretty well without capitulating. This is not too bad. This is like the coolest French defense I've seen. But there we go. That is it. We are defeated. We have been exiled. We now base our government out of London, but we can have a little choice here. We can collaborate with the Germans and form Vichy France. We can fight on as Free France, or we can actually merge with Britain and just end the game. We will, of course, remain as Free France and go into exile and resist the oppressors. And there it is. Charles de Gaulle is now our ruler. Very nice. The fight for France continues. And we don't really own anything. A bunch of pretty bad malices like defeatism. And we do actually have a unique focus tree that are mostly 70-day focuses to get rid of various penalties and also to increase resistance in France. And we can also do some pretty cool things with cooing and taking over small parts of Vichy France, but it's gonna take a little while. Especially problematic is that our capital is now, for some reason, all the way in the Pacific. In terms of armies, we're not really going to be able to make much because the Free French Army didn't exist until probably 1943. At this time, and for the first couple of years, the only thing we had was a couple like brigades, and they were made of strange little organizational amounts of leftover companies and like half battalions from army units that refused to comply with Vichy France. I will use any of my regular divisions that are sent to me from Britain because they have access to my divisions, and they are basically just like divisions that survive the war. For now, though, I will make a small division, which is basically just the Colonial Brigade. Based on my sources, the main army units at this time were, like I said, little small battalions, and famously, one was joined by a Marine Artillery battalion, and they became kind of like a support artillery. So I think this is pretty accurate. 4 infantry battalions and support artillery. And over the years, I'm going to gradually increase it to represent more and more forces amalgamating together for Free France. And I'm going to call it the Free French Army. We also do have like a small section of the Navy, but we don't really have the fuel to run it, so let's just put it in the UK. And hey, look at that! So we lose victors of the Great War, protected by Maginot Line, and destroyed a government if we had it. So we basically lose all those horrendous malices, making our country kind of strong, actually. Except, of course, I don't know what a factory is, and I have very little manpower. We are an exiled government, and there's not a lot we can do. Britain will occasionally give us some divisions that they train from our templates, which, like I said, I will use. I've just done appeal to overseas territories. Apparently, it means that some people can decide to just join us. Indochina has said no, which is historically what happened, and that's it. No one really... Oh, no, Syria. Okay, Syria has decided to declare for me, so we now get Syria as a base of operations. We also have a variety of focuses to do interventions in each of the different areas of the former French Empire. They're going to take a while, and I need some political power. We've just done Central Africa, for example, and they've decided to stay with Vichy, so... But Madagascar has decided to flip over to me, which is pretty nice. A little bit of resources, I guess. My boys have had a little bit of a rest, and Greece has been invaded. Let's send our little army in Egypt to go and help keep the Greeks alive. Why the hell not? Let's be useful in this conflict. Completing some focuses gives us some decisions for Central Africa. We can promise independence and a 25% chance to get them. We can coup it, or we can, like, invade it. I promised them independence. Nothing happens. Like, the coupping option does give me a espionage mission to try and coup them, which takes ages. Or a little border war can take care. That's pretty fun. And the Belgians do it for me, and they lose. All right. Thanks, Belgium. Also, I'm still researching, and I wanted to go down the tank tree, so I just got the basic medium tank chassis, and the preset for it is actually relatively accurate. It's the AMC 35. This was a sort of more modern medium tank that the French really didn't get much chance to produce many of. They were still using a lot of S-35s by the time Germany actually attacked. The Division Légère Mécanique was supposed to actually be like half S-35s and half AMC-35s, but that didn't end up being the case. Also, small note, one mistake here. The AMC-35 was most definitively a 2-man turret tank, not a 1-man turret. That was like the whole reason it was built, is to have a 2-man turret, but whatever. We can't build these anyway. We don't have any factories. One other bit of weirdness, I do also have the 1940 tech. Like I said, I was grinding it through, and the preset for it is the S-35. This is seemingly just also the Suomio S-35, and it's relatively accurate, except for some reason it has a 2-man turret. That's not right. I don't understand what this is. I think it's a mistake because the S-35s were around in 1940, so maybe the Paradox thought that means that you should use the 1940 chassis. I don't know. Also, there is a HOI4 tank destroyer, and this was actually prototyped and was considering to be built for the invasion, but never really got a chance to get off the ground. Over in Greece, my boys are helping maintain Greek sovereignty by occupying that little mountain tile, and they're doing pretty well. And also, I left some boys on the Egyptian front, and look at that! The Brits and them have basically destroyed Italy in North Africa. Also, we're now well into 1941, so we're going to be increasing the Free French Army a little bit. It is incredibly difficult to find legitimate and trustworthy sources for the Free French Army, because it was, very haphazard. But I have found some evidence that they were formed as the 1st Light Free French Division, which was made up of independent Free French brigades, and each brigade was made up of 3 battalions. So it makes sense to increase the number of infantry battalions to 6, because I think that's commensurate with what they were like at this point. I'm also just going to keep trying to do some border wars in Vichy France, and again, nothing really happens. I don't think this feature has been properly integrated. Oh well. I'm just going to try and get all of the interventions that I can do through the focus tree, because I do want to get all the way down before France gets invaded, because there's some good opportunities to get some stuff and bonuses, including being able to just become France again. And hey look, West Africa has decided to join me. There's basically nothing here, but I get some manpower, and that's very nice. Oh, and it is, of course, Barbarossa time, so I'll be watching this with great interest. I can actually send some boys to help the Régiment Normandie, but it just gives them 100 fighters. I'll do it, but like, it's so stupid. I also do have the new heavy tank chassis, and the preset for it is the ARL-44, which was a sort of like early developed heavy tank and tank destroyer, which was really only just kicking off in 1940s, so none really ever got made, which is very sad. I've been recruiting plenty of the Free French Army divisions, I guess, so why not send them into Indonesia, where they're almost certainly going to be invaded by Japan very shortly, because they did help fight in this theater of war. We were kind of just everywhere at this point, and I'm also going to try and prepare a coup and see if I can actually, like, overthrow something. It requires infantry equipment and support equipment, so it's very expensive considering I don't really make any, but I think it's probably worth it to try. It helps that I can just buy the infantry equipment from America, but not support equipment. Don't know why. Also going to improve relations and ask for an attaché with the Soviet Union just so I can keep an eye on what's going on. I can't actually get directly involved. It's not technically my war, but I'm, curious to see, because if Germany bull rushes the Soviet Union, then I basically die. Last experiment with tanks, I have the latest advanced light tank chassis, and the preset is the AMX-12T. I have no idea what this is. The only information I can find is on, like, World of Tanks forums, and it's basically the first auto-loading light tank, and it was developed in 1946, so no, s'il vous plaît. Oh, apparently we're the sad sack of the Allies. China and a bunch of other people are trying to give me lend-leases for guns. Unfortunately, I don't know what a convoy is, so I'm not really going to be able to actually, receive them, but hey, it's a very nice gesture. Over in the Soviet Union, the Dnieper has been breached, as has Kiev been lost. It's not looking great. I'm a little scared, but Germany has suffered a lot of casualties, and I've actually done the second highest number of casualties to Germany, 871,000. I am very proud of that. And of course, my agent that I'd sent to try and do a coup has been captured, so I am not going to be able to liberate them. Yay. Oh, Vichy France has just joined the Axis. What? Oh, this is great. This means we can actually just properly attack them. And also all my boys can come and help as well. Let's go. Yes, we can reclaim our territory. Look at that. Yes, we're starting to get North Africa a little bit. It's obviously going to take a long time. Supply is really awful, but we're making it work. And Britain has liberated a lot of Central Africa and given it over to me, which is very nice. Again, there's not really anything in there, but I appreciate it. The Allies, however, are doing more things than that. They have invaded Italy, both on the heel of the boot and in Sicily. So I'm going to send my divisions to go and help out. This is actually something that the Free French Army did massively. They helped in the Italian campaign and suffered heavily at the Battle of Monte Cassino. Also, we are now in 1943, so we need to make one more change to our Free French Army. Alongside growing in size, they were also banded together with a battalion of Fusilier Marines, with basically the Marines that manned the Navy. These were former Navymen whom did not want to serve Vichy France and joined up with the Free French Army. Now, it feels really weird to do this, but I think the best way to replicate this is, alongside increasing the size of my Free French Army, adding a Marine battalion. Why not? This is what they were like. This is perfectly representative of the impromptu nature of the Free French Army. I love it. It looks so stupid. My biggest problem isn't division design, though. It's no supply. I cannot push in North Africa very well, though actually a lot of Italians have been pulled off the line because their homeland's been invaded, so let's just push. Yes, we're helping. Oh my god. Look at this focus. The Free French Navy. This gives me 50 convoys. This has been here the whole time. All right, Leningrad has fallen. Moscow is still managing to hold, but I am really concerned about the Soviet Union. I'm not even sure 100 planes is going to help them. I think the best thing we can do, though, is just to keep trying to push in places like Italy and in North Africa, just trying to help out as best as possible by diverting the Italian and Axis minor forces away. Okay, the Italian forces have become distracted and they have abandoned the heel. Let's go. We're going to lead the forces and push up the boot. Look at that. They're just collapsing and Greece is falling too. And oh my god, it's D-Day. Well, not D-Day. It's Operation Dragoon, I think. The Allies have indeed landed in Marseille. I'm a little terrified that that's not a very strong invasion, so I don't think I'm going to actually help, but I'm looking at it with interest. Yeah, there's a lot of Axis minor forces occupying them, whereas in the east, they are just... Woo, they're fighting pretty heavily. There's a lot of casualties along this front. The Germans have suffered 7 million so far. Ooh, another Allied invasion in Bordeaux. Now that's spicy. This should really distract the forces. Please, can we do something here? Okay, the Bordeaux invasion failed. That's a lot of allied boys died for basically nothing. I mean, they were trying to liberate me, which I do appreciate, but it just wasn't good enough. Here's an idea. Do you think Britain would actually give me some of their occupied territories? Could I ask for... Oh, they've given me Sicily. Can I have more? Please. They gave me it. Oh, they give me so much. That is fantastic. That is factories. That is dockyards. It's steel. Yes. Okay, just build convoys. Only convoys. All right, we're into 1944 now. Invasions are happening. I think we need to make our last division design, which is the more modern tank design, the Division Blindée. We're going to base this off of the 2nd Division because it's the clearest, and it was basically a massively US-backed French division. It was made up of basically just Shermans and M3, M5 half-tracks and M8 Greyhounds. It really didn't have any French equipment in it. 3 Sherman battalions, 3 mech battalions, and 3 squadrons of armored cars, as well as a whole host of light tanks. The weirdest part, though, is the sheer number of tank destroyer and SPGs it had. It had like over 50 of each, the Wolverines and the M7s, which were US tank destroyers and SPGs respectively. And I don't have any of those, so I can't even make them. So what I'm going to do is make a preset tank destroyer and SPG. I'll make the SAL 48 and the weirdly named ARL V39, but I'm not really going to produce them. I'm just going to ask for America to send me their excess to try to make it as historical as possible. But that's basically what the division looks like. It also did have motorized anti-air and some support anti-tank as well, so this is it. I think it's pretty cool. It looks like the Allied invasion of southern France has actually occurred properly. There is a beautiful amount of troops here, and in the east, there's something truly revolting. We have a Soviet Czechoslovakia. This massive bulge of Soviet troops that is somehow holding its own and not being encircled. I absolutely hate this. Also, Regnel de Sud has formed. This is the little Italian puppet, and it's taken some of my Italian lands, which is very lame. But what's even more lame is the Soviet Czechoslovakia may fall. It's getting very thin. I think I just need to start pushing here. I've got some boys in the south. Let's just grind them through. Yes, okay, we are actually moving past them. I've still got some cavalry left over, and we are, I think, encircling and doing pretty well. I want to try to take as much of Vichy as possible before I hit the French forces in the interior, because then it does give me a lot of free troops. Yeah, the Germans have indeed moved forces here, so actual big boys are here to stop me. Soviet Czechoslovakia has officially been cut off and destroyed. Bit by bit, they're going to be annihilated. I'm sorry, boys, you did so well. But it's okay, we're doing even better. I've managed to break through in a couple places. I have actually connected with a Bordeaux invasion. Oh, it's all happening. I've hit the French forces at the interior focus, and look at this. We are pouring into France right now. We can liberate it all. Look at that. We have taken Paris. Yes, we are so good. The Vichy have collapsed and they have now scuttled their fleet. That is a douchebag move, bro. I'm right here. Come on, just come join me. What are you doing? We actually got the free divisions from all of our occupied core territories, and they're demi-brigades, and they're just like 5 infantry battalions. All right, I can use them to hold lines. Not too bad. And look at that. We now have the regular front tree. Oh, it's completely unfinished. I haven't done a single focus. What? I could like theoretically go Napoleonic French here, right? Like in the middle of the war, I could turn Napoleonic. Oh, well, let me know in the comments if you want to see that. That's really stupid. Okay, well, at least we can get a few focuses. Okay, now we just got to keep pushing. I want to end the Germans in Brittany, and it looks like the Soviet front is starting to collapse, which is fantastic. Problem is, I really need to push everybody out of France to be able to properly form France. I'm still free France, weirdly. And my worry is Alsace-Lorraine, because how the hell am I ever going to be able to breach that? Also, this weird thing happened again, the Danish Civil War. This means that Denmark declares war on Germany. Germany and Japan guarantee each other, which means Japan is now attacking Denmark. Denmark joins the Allies, so now Japan is involved in all of the wars, including against the Soviet Union. This means that a bunch of Soviet forces rampage into Manchuria and Korea, and this basically destroys Japan. But it also kind of temporarily weakens the Eastern Front for Germany, so I'm a little worried about the extra divisions coming up at me. I have started to recruit a couple of the new Division Blindée tank divisions. They're decently equipped. It just takes a little while to get everything together. but I think they're going to help us push, and we're starting to kind of encircle and move around the Maginot Line, but I'm just not sure if I have the ability to actually take it, so I think we need to go north instead and just sort of go around them, maybe finishing off Pas-de-Calais and then moving into Netherlands and Belgium. One thing I realized, if I wanted to be really historical for my tank divisions, is I should just design a regular Sherman tank and build that. But a better idea would be to request it from America. I'm just going to force build a whole bunch of tank divisions, giving me a ton of deficit, so I can then ask Lend-Lease from America for everything I'm missing. So they should give me at least some Shermans. And they gave me 10,000 guns and only 28 Shermans. Okay, so much for that plan. We're finally seeing the reason why it is so terrible to play a minor in HOI4. That sounded wrong. You just have to wait for everybody else to do something. All the majors need to take charge. I am really just waiting for the Allies and the Soviets to do more work. I can't really do any of my focus tree because it actually affects me pretty badly to go down my democratic path. It gives me some weird bonuses and malices. So we're just going to wait for the Soviets to do some stuff. All right, took a little nap for a while. It is now 1946. I have been slowly pushing, and we've encircled troops in the northwest of the Netherlands, and we are now officially into Germany. This is now just a case of mopping up. Look at this. Look at us go. We're rampaging through. The Germans simply don't have enough forces to contend with us. And there it is. The Germans have capitulated. And Nationalist Spain has joined the Axis, so I have to move my entire army to the Spanish border. Please, why'd you do this? It's okay. Only Italy is a major, so we just rush down there, take some VPs. There we go. All right. Look at that. We win. We helped. We were part of the war. We have extremely few points to do anything with, despite how much we suffered. And this is what we took. I decided to take a little bit of like northwestern Italy. We didn't get any occupation zones of Germany. I feel like we were supposed to get that, but oh well. And I got a little bit of Spain. I'm sorry that there is some border gore here. It kind of looks like France is like running with really tiny legs, if you can see that. But that's it. We did pretty well. I'm happy with this progress. It was very challenging to try and resist the Germans with only historical divisions and presets. I would not recommend you do it yourself unless you love history as much as me, but my god, was it a challenge. Their divisions they were not good, man. They were not good. Thank you so very much for watching. I was Aldrahill and I'll continue to be. Bye-bye.